DarkViper is a GTA 5 YouTuber with a following count of 1.6 million. Over the course of his career, he has made it his long life goal to be the victim of nearly every moment of drama he has participated in. In the past, he made a series on why reaction channels does more harm than good, which led him to the infamous 14-page document. In recent events, DarkViper bit off a bit more than he could chew when falsely DMCAing a video reacting to his, to the point he feels the only way of making the heat disappear is to say how his critics lie about him, how it's not safe for him to respond, all the while reinventing what happened in his history to make it seem like he always has been so very wholesome, which is what inspired this video. So today I will be taking you on a journey through DarkViper's history to show you who DarkViper really is behind the curtain, going through how he manipulates reality either by arguing semantics, playing the victim, taking creators out of context, or by poisoning the well whenever he feels the heat of drama on his back. Welcome to the distorted legacy of DarkViper.
I consider myself a truthful person. I like to be honest about my feelings. How many important facts has he left out because everyone knows, or because he doesn't find them interesting? What is wrong with you people? Why do you find such joy in causing me this much suffering? He can't help himself, because taking accountability for his actions is beyond this man. Frankly, I'm afraid I'll come off as petty at this point, but I literally can't fucking sleep. I need more closure. I was the only person who could have benefited significantly from doing this first. But not only that, failing to do this will now impact the rest of my career. A jab here, a jab there, an insult to vague speedrunners for a particular thing. I was literally speechless. I did not think the entire time because I was so confused. Why are we still in the game? It's 14 pages!
Matthew had been born in 1991 in Australia, New South Wales, Sydney, where his early life had been a good one. In his spare time, he would play games like Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which gave him his first aspiration in life to become a train conductor, the person who would drive the train. Matthew also enjoyed reading books, such as The Wheel of Time, a series set in fantasy, written by Robert Jordan and co-written by Brandon Sanderson. His family, however, had different interests, such as his mother and sister, who believed in more of the pseudo-scientifical topics, such as believing in psychics and the power surrounding crystals. However, his father was more interested in general fitness, often lecturing Matthew about the benefits of eating healthier foods and drinks, along with regular exercise, of how taking care of yourself would ensure better health. In his school years, Matthew described himself as leaving things until the last minute to complete assessments or assignments, which is a contrast into the level of detail he goes into these days. While working his way through his school years, Matthew also made an email address which will become important later on, as it had been one of the precursors into creating his YouTube identity, with it being called Game Viper. During this time, Matthew had stumbled upon the works of Christopher Hitchens, who had been a professor at 3 different locations, with 2 being universities in California and Pittsburgh, and the 3rd being the New School of Social Science. He also had been an author of 18 books in the subjects of faith, culture, politics, and literature. An interesting quote from Christopher is, "What can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence," which Matthew came to think of him as an interesting character as his life progressed, which can be seen to be where Matthew's interests in politics, religion, and philosophy as subjects originated from, as he went on to graduate from high school in 2008, and he went on to find employment soon after, helping him to enrich his life, getting him out of the house and socializing with new faces and earning money to help him prosper even more so. However, the same could not be said for his previous contacts, as Matthew in 2009 had decided to delete his Facebook account, believing the people on there weren't worth keeping in his life, as when he would bump into these people he met at school, they would exchange small talk but nothing more. Moving into 2011, Matthew had been introduced to the website of YouTube, where he had created his first YouTube channel called DarkViper8888, which had come from the email he had made in school, and a character he named in World of Warcraft called Darkbane, combining the two to form DarkViper, which brings us to 2012, where we will see what content he would bring to the table in his more primitive years on the platform. While working in his job, DarkViper wanted to find a way to be able to listen to the debates he enjoyed watching from time to time, which had ranged from religion to politics to more philosophical topics. So he would record the debates he watched and improve the audio quality in an editing software, as the original recordings came with a whistling or a whining sound that would annoy him. Afterwards, he would replace the footage with a picture, so only the audio existed of the debate in his video, to which he soon uploaded to his YouTube channel, and another one called Atheist Vs Theist, where others could listen to it as well. While not meaning to, this would be called freebooting, taking content from the original broadcaster without consent, credit, or compensation, which is actually one of DarkViper's arguments against reaction content. Regardless of this fact, DarkViper would re-listen to these recordings on his way to work and while he worked at his job. Over time, however, people began to see his channel where the debates were held, and he would begin to develop a following on there. However, this hadn't been the only type of content he would provide. He also made commentary videos either going over other people's content, to which he found interesting or misleading. Either way, he looked at adding to the conversation. He also worked on making a summary series of the Quran, but then DarkViper wanted to differentiate his main channel from his love of gaming. So he created on the 1st of November 2012 his next channel, DarkViper Game Channel, where he would, like the name suggests, record himself playing games and completing various walkthroughs, which would soon develop into speedrunning games as well. He also made an account on a website called bodyspacebodybuilding.com with a desire to get into shape. However, since he joined the site, the account had logged no activity. Over the next 2 years, DarkViper had continued to work at his job and his YouTube videos, juggling the two back and forth. Coming into 2014, DarkViper had made a post on the website Disquis, which is a blogging website where he wrote about his time reading the Skeptic's Annotated Bible, believing it to be a good read, that he thoroughly enjoyed it. He also talked about a Christian's critique of the book and gave the critic praise upon the corrections that had been given. During this time, however, DarkViper also had enjoyed another game, with this being the Hearthstone card game, which he soon participated in a tournament that contributed to him discovering Twitch, which he soon made an account called DarkViper88. While making content and working in his current employment, DarkViper had also been studying in the University of Swinburne of Technology in the subject of social science. In 2015, however, DarkViper had begun a new type of work within the online space, with him embarking on the journey into his speedrunning career. On the 20th of June 2015, DarkViper had completed his first run of GTA 5, achieving a time of 8 hours, 47 minutes and 41 seconds in any percent. And he also had gotten his first channel monetized, so he could start making some money on the side, which he used to cover his rent at the time. Where the re-uploaded debates had been lost to time on his channels due to his own purge, we can see that DarkViper had re-uploaded #59debate Richard Dawkins vs Jonathan Sachs, Science and Religion 2012, which can be found on YouTube today, which had originally been broadcasted by the BBC RE Think Festival. During this year, DarkViper also covered topics in his videos, with the recovered titles being Pro-Anti-Gamergate, a summary of social ideologies, differences in friendship expression, same-sex friendships, critique, Anita Sarkeesian's The Siphon, positive female, you shouldn't be realistic, what does it mean to explain the wage gap? One of his responses, however, had been to The Amazing Atheist, which had been, response, The Amazing Atheist is crap at arguing, wage gap 101. On the 7th of August 2015, DarkViper had managed to achieve his first world record in the category of mission skips with a time of 5 hours, 11 minutes and 39 seconds, which he had improved on the 18th of August, grinding the time down to 4 hours, 57 minutes and 37 seconds. However, like everything within a competitive scene, once someone beats a challenge, you can bet someone out there will take notice and will come to best you at your own game. And that's exactly what happened with Torix, taking the lead and beating DarkViper's time by 24 minutes and 58 seconds. But this would only merely be a pit stop for the Viper, as he came back again, ready to take the crown from Torix. And after more runs through the game, DarkViper had achieved a time of 4 hours, 29 minutes and 21 seconds, showing the community that DarkViper had been there to stay, and eventually DarkViper would begin a friendship with Torix and had become a moderator for the speedrun.com leaderboards for GTA 5. Around this time, however, DarkViper had also made a video called Choosing Our Beliefs, where he argued that people simply do not choose their own beliefs, that atheism is not a choice, when I believe it very much is a matter of choice. One of his arguments had been to believe that you can fly. Okay, now jump out of your window. The reason for him believing this is by citing the definition from a Google search result, which is some stellar research he got there. But like many things, this can be improved on, which is what will happen when coming into 2016, where the games have only just begun. Over this year, DarkViper would become prolific in his speedrunning journey, with Torix being his main competition and rival during this time. He also had found his love for Asmongold's content on Twitch in this year, to which if you are unaware of what Asmongold had streamed back then, it just so happens that Asmongold would play the same game as DarkViper, World of Warcraft, but that's not all. He would also show and react to videos as well. DarkViper then went on to run a category called Trevor%, which had been the first part of the game, with the run ending after the first heist, which DarkViper had achieved another world record on the 24th of May 2016 with a time of 1 hour, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. All the while he had continued to rain down more content for his fans who cheered him on. Following this achievement, DarkViper returned to mission skips near the end of July, achieving a time of 4 hours, 9 minutes and 43 seconds, improving the world record by just under 20 minutes. In October, DarkViper had a conversation with Asmongold on the subject of politics revolving around Trump, which wasn't much of a conversation, with Asmongold stating that he just didn't want to have a debate about politics over Twitter. Coming into December, however, Matthew would achieve something far more impressive than just another speedrun time, where he had achieved his degree in social science psychology. It is unclear when DarkViper had moved out from the family home, whether this was prior to university, during, or after. However, what was clear was DarkViper could grab life by the balls if he played his cards right. He could land himself a successful career in psychology. Unfortunately, DarkViper saw his position as a moderator to be his job, for now at least, and it is something that he cherishes quite heavily. So perhaps instead of getting a license to practice psychology, he instead wanted to just focus on speedrunning. However, it could also be that he did try to find a job within psychology but just couldn't get his leg in the door, as completing a course is one thing, but getting a place within the industry can be an entirely new challenge to conquer. Eventually, the workplace DarkViper worked at had made a change to their policies that the workers were not allowed to listen to stuff like music or videos anymore, possibly seeking to improve something within the workplace. However, DarkViper felt like he had always been such an efficient worker, so he asked if he could be the exception due to being such a good worker. However, his boss had told him no, which upset him to the point where he quit his job without another one to back himself up. Instead, DarkViper continued to make content for his YouTube channel and continue his speedrunning journey, which he would make it his mission to make some significant improvements to the speedruns by experimenting in the open world of Los Santos. While this had been happening, however, another speedrunner known as Lone Wolf Halen had beaten DarkViper's record in mission skips. But as soon as he caught the scent in the wind of this, he went back to reclaim the record that had been taken from him, which he had successfully accomplished on the 5th of March 2017, with a new time of 3 hours, 56 minutes and 20 seconds. However, DarkViper also claimed another world record, this time for classic any percent, beating Torix again, bringing the time down to 6 hours, 39 minutes and 12 seconds. Throughout this time, DarkViper continued to crush records and set improved times in his rampage through GTA 5, moving into Taxi Percent, where he continued to optimize and beat records. However, if you thought DarkViper would run only one game, then you would be wrong, as he decided to take on a game that is known for its unforgiving nature when he began to speedrun Dark Souls 3, granting him a time of 3 hours, 24 minutes and 42 seconds in any percent, no teardrop. However, DarkViper continued to run GTA 5 as well, juggling the two games in his speedrun career, which is a testament to his skill alone as a competent speedrunner. As he juggled the relentless nature of Dark Souls 3 and the adult playground of GTA 5, DarkViper continued to improve the runs of GTA 5, with some help from Torix, of course, which added to his motivation to improve the record, as he, like many people, coveted the title of world record holder. He then beat his previous run in Dark Souls 3, bringing the time down to 56 minutes and 20 seconds on the 29th of June, and achieving a time in GTA 5 Classic any percent, 6 hours, 38 minutes and 56 seconds earlier in the month. However, DarkViper then sought a new challenge to occupy his time, so he started running Classic 100%, which if you have done a completionist run in GTA 5, then you know how much there is to do compared to just completing the main story, so don't be surprised when you hear the times for this category. On the 16th of July 2017, DarkViper achieved a time of 10 hours, 53 minutes and 46 seconds, which was another new world record for the category. While making improvements to his time in Classic any percent, Torix had beaten DarkViper's world record by just over 2 minutes. Instead of rushing back to any percent, however, DarkViper was more concerned with improving his time in Trevor percent, which when it came to September, DarkViper achieved a time of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 46 seconds. However, DarkViper was still hungry for more, so he continued to carve his path with beating Torix's any percent run by 43 seconds, bringing the time down to 6 hours, 36 minutes and 5 seconds. Throughout 2015, 2016 and 2017, we can see how DarkViper had set the foundations for his reputation in the GTA 5 speedrunning community. However, 2018 will be an entirely new story for this chapter of his career, where DarkViper will show his fellow speedrunners how quickly he can devolve when he doesn't get his own way.
So people in chat said they wanted me to vlog, and I said I'd do it as a joke. So I'm doing it now as a joke. I just woke up. It's 5:30 p.m. I'm very tired. I had nothing but like fruit and vegetables yesterday, so I'm gonna order myself a Domino's cheese pizza, and then I'm gonna eat it. Then I'm gonna stream. Oh, and I'm gonna shower too. So I've been wearing this shirt for like 2 days, and it does look kind of bad, but I kind of want to wear it again because it's comfortable and I like it. But I recognize that people in chat might make fun of me for wearing the same shirt 3 days in a row, so I'm not going to do it. And now to order my pizza one-handed, somehow. pick up, of course, because I don't want to spend the money. Okay, I'm not going to show you where I live, even though I've doxed myself like 17 times. Let's not do it again. Cheese. So, but I could get pepperoni, but cheese. These are the hard choices that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, chat. Like, how do normal people deal with this?
On the 3rd of January 2018, DarkViper uploaded Pizza Acquisition, DarkViper First Vlog, taking us on a journey across his town for a slice of good old-fashioned pizza, which he listens to Wheel of Time on his quest for sustenance. In this video, we also see that he likes to play League of Legends while watching someone on Twitch.
You know what's annoying? I can't record myself and listen to an audiobook on my iPhone. This seems to be a huge oversight for the audiobook plus vlogging community that I'm now a part of.
Anyone else think that this guy looks like Sylar from the Heroes TV show?
I remember you.
Over this time, DarkViper continued to wreck records on speedrun.com, where he took back the world record for classic any percent in GTA 5, bringing the record down to 6 hours, 33 minutes and 59 seconds. His attention then moved back to 100%, bringing the time down to 10 hours, 52 minutes and 48 seconds on the 21st of January 2018, where he improved the time by just over 15 minutes, bringing the record closer to the 10-hour barrier. While his speedrunning career had been glowing, his YouTube career had taken a turn for the worst when YouTube demonetized his channel DarkViper8888. So he made a decision to upload a video talking about quitting YouTube because he needs to find a new income.
Hey everyone, so I'm probably gonna have to quit Twitch and YouTube, unfortunately. I quite often speak of how I really enjoy doing this. It's not something that I want to do, but I'm probably gonna have to do it. Not tomorrow, but very soon, like as soon as humanly possible. Is the second I can find something else to do with myself, which is gonna be quite hard. Yeah. So to explain why this is the case, I'm going to need to go all the way back to, 2011, 2012, and explain why I got on YouTube in the first place. This might take a while, but, you know, it'll probably be an interesting story. So when I was in my early 20s, I got into, you know, issues of religion and philosophy and society and yada yada. And I had some free time, so I spent a lot of time listening to religious debates, or just debates on, you know, philosophy in general. Watching these debates, you know, made me think about stuff, and I wanted some feedback on my thoughts, so I would make YouTube videos about this content. I would also respond to other people's religious content that existed on YouTube. That's what my channel was based around in the beginning. I, of course, had very few subscribers. I probably had maybe a couple of dozen subscribers. I remember the first time one of my videos got some traction, which was a response video to someone else's video, and it got a few thousand views, and I was showing Lee at work, like, oh, look, I got 36 subscribers. Man, I'm like, every hour I'm getting a subscriber. How cool is this? I really enjoyed it. A part of getting all these debates was taking them off the internet, downloading them, ripping them into audio, and then, you know, listening to them at work on my iPhone, because I couldn't just be loading YouTube back then. I'm not even sure if there was an app for YouTube back then, because it was, you know, a long time ago. And of course, a lot of these debates didn't even exist on YouTube, and of course, mobile data, you know, 6 years ago, it isn't what it is now. When I discuss these debates, I would often comment on, like, the quality of the debate in terms of, like, the audio and stuff. Often a lot of these debates had, like, very long-winded introductions, or had, like, a high-pitched whine in the background, only went in one ear and stuff, and I would correct these for myself, but obviously no corrected versions existed on YouTube. So what I would do when I'd make these corrections is upload the audio form of these debates with, like, a still image to my YouTube channel. I thought nothing of it. I mean, this is early days. It's not like Content ID or you know, like, I knew nothing about copyright at that point. I just thought I was doing kind of a public service. People really found it useful. And then I just reached the point where, well, partly because of fixing errors in the actual content, but also because people would ask for it, and it would just make things simpler for everyone. I started uploading more of these audio debates to my YouTube channel. I didn't think I was harming anyone, and to be honest, I still don't. It was just something that benefited a lot of people. A lot of these debates were like, you know, decades old, or years old. Like, it was more like an archive at that point. An archive of a bunch of religious debates that all existed in one place and wouldn't be taken down. At least that's what I thought in the beginning. And so maybe for the first year and a half, made $300. Fair enough, like, that's not a huge amount of money, and I was putting a lot of time and effort into it, so why not? I wasn't harming anyone as far as I was concerned. No one was using this content or monetizing in any particular way. No one was losing in this situation. I just felt I was being paid for my time in offering a service that a lot of people were clearly enjoying. And by a lot of people, I meant like a couple of thousand, you know? But of course, YouTube's algorithm changes over time. Eventually it started to favor more long-form content. The longer people would sit there and watch, the better. People who watch religious debates can be religiously fanatical, perhaps, and really want to watch the entire thing. And quickly, YouTube started throwing these videos out to more and more people, and I, of course, started making more and more money. Maybe I shouldn't have rationalized it to myself, maybe I should have thought it's wrong, but I'll be frank with you, I still don't think it's wrong. I still don't think I was harming anyone, and I'm unrepentant in my actions. So while being on Twitch, the revenue from this channel has been supplementing my income because I don't make a lot of money on Twitch. My revenue has been growing to the point where it's probably more than half at this point. But I knew I was running on borrowed time. I was like, look, eventually YouTube is going to get rid of this channel. They're going to demonetize me. I'm going to receive some copyright strikes. You know, a lot of stuff is going to get content ID'd. I mean, there was some stuff content ID, but I obviously don't really care that much. Anyone asking me to remove content, I've just done it in the last couple of years because I'm like, you know, that's fine.
The reason for the removal of his monetization can be seen with his freebooting series, where he took the debates from other sources and published them to his YouTube channel, which he didn't have consent from the original broadcaster. Best hide those drinks, am I right, guys? However, instead of outright quitting, it can be seen that he chose to double down on his gaming content and his speedrunning career, continuing the rampage, claiming world records and improving the time in mission skips, taxi percent, 100% and Trevor percent. Every time Torix struck a blow in beating the times DarkViper set, he took him back, highlighting his skills as a speedrunner. However, when it came to October, another speedrunner, Friendly Baron, had told Rydog in the Discord that the discussion for the runs didn't concern him because he wasn't a runner. So Rydog took one of his old speedruns and submitted it for review with a message, "I am a runner," which DarkViper, the main moderator for the leaderboard, had rejected the run, with the reason being issues, which any community would tell you that's not really a good enough explanation for a rejection of a run. When the community asked for clarification, DarkViper just simply could not give one, and he started saying how this was just a troll. Then he brought up his own issues with Rydog, and when Torix called him out, DarkViper burned that bridge with his fellow speedrunner, because Torix had apparently been friends with Rydog. According to DarkViper, his issues with Rydog had been that he spammed in the forums before, that he was a bad moderator for another GTA game, because he deleted a category and lied to fellow moderators, so that the other moderators could be removed. That's it. This is where he tried to use an analogy to get support back on his side in the public discussion. Unfortunately, bringing the subject of grape didn't do him any favors. After a lengthy back and forth, DarkViper could see that he wasn't exactly going to win this argument with the community, so in a last-ditch effort, he decided to make a video called Rydog, Torix, and My Descent into Depression.
Why must my life suffer? Why must I suffer so with no one caring for so long?
You know, this clip kind of reminds me of something.
Why am I still getting hate?
Why must my life suffer? Why must I suffer so with no one caring for so long? This man has gone out of his way to insult me at every turn to make my life worse. I have not felt depression like I have experienced because of Rydog since I was a teenager. The thought of living in this world where a single man can cause me so much suffering and people will defend his right to do it, I just don't want to live in this world anymore. What is wrong with you people? Why do you find such joy in him causing me this much suffering? The 3 days where Rydog tried to systematically lie to everyone and take control of these leaderboards was the worst period in the entirety of my life. I've been injured, I've had terrible relationships, I've lost friends, I've lost pets. Those 3 days were the worst in my life.
What? Fucking you. Death is not as bad as getting trolled by Rye online. Oh my god, dude, that's so embarrassing.
This person who caused me so much suffering, I am told I must interact with this person even though they do not act in good faith. They have no desire to speedrun GTA 5. They have no desire to have any constructive input into any discussion that has ever had. It is spam, it is memes, it is trolling. Why do you people value this? Why do you enjoy my suffering? I have done so much for this speed game. I've added so much to the leaderboards. Whenever any issue arises, I am the person who brings it to the forefront and says, let's vote on this. Even when I just give it to everyone else, I don't vote myself. I specifically choose something that someone else wanted. I am still treated
Look at how bad he's getting. He's gonna fucking punch his desk.
Though I'm a terrible human being. Even in the most recent issue, we changed it to 90 FPS. I'm like, look, at least the majority wanted this. No one will blame me. I was still blamed.
I don't think anyone wanted it. I think it was just you.
People still lied about me. Why must I suffer so? Give me a good reason.
Imagine, like, if he has, like, a flatmate or, like, I don't know, someone around, and he's recording this video and they just walk in like, Matt, you're like 30, why are you screaming at a camera?
Idol bringing that I'm not seeing. I know you don't know what suffering this person has put me through, but you must have seen some of it.
Ooh.
You must be somewhat aware.
Dude, stop yelling at me.
What is wrong with you? I put so much of my life into the speed game, into these boards, and at every turn I'm told by people who don't even run the game that I must deal with a person who has no interest in running the game. A person who interacts with these boards specifically to gain joy over my suffering. That is sick and wrong. This has been going on for 2 years. When does it end? When will you let me be at peace?
He's not dying.
Would be the that if you are friends with Rydog, you are not a good person.
That's true.
I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to be around you.
Okay.
I have said, honestly, that I fear going to events that Rydog might be at because I would fear that I would be harmed physically.
And people say I'm crazy.
With this video being aired out to the community, people had begun to lose respect for DarkViper, thinking of him as a snowflake, which would be proved time in and time out over the years to come. But like all things, this drama would begin to cool off and people had moved on, especially after he deleted the video due to the backlash. Moving away from this rather embarrassing event, DarkViper continued to run the game and improve times and finding out new secrets for bigger optimizations. However, it was in November when notable Discord messages had been brought to the surface about Our White Goose and his views, which didn't look too favorable on him, to which he tried to say that he no longer had those views, but people on Twitter just simply were not buying it. This is where Apollo Legend drops into the scene, with him making a video on the subject in December, which sparked a fair bit of outrage, where DarkViper had made his own video called How Apollo Legend Lies for Ad Revenue, where he goes over what Apollo had left out in covering the story, where it turns out the messages that had been shown in Apollo's video weren't all of the messages, so he wasn't showing all of the evidence against Our White Goose, which could have been due to a bias, as Apollo had been quite fond of Our White Goose, as many had been within the speedrunning community. With this video in hand, DarkViper had managed to show Apollo's audience what he didn't show, and some were shocked that there was more to the story than what he was letting on, which brought more questions to Apollo's side, and he decided to address them in his Ocarina of Time speedrun livestream on Twitch, which didn't sit well with DarkViper, who had had been lurking in the shadows. DarkViper again had tried to get the word out about Apollo Legend on the 25th of December with another video titled Apollo Legend, Liar or Ignorant, where he claims that Apollo and our White Goose had in fact been friends, and if Apollo was to mention any of this, then it would hurt his argument in making his video. During 2018, DarkViper had attended an event which brought him into contact with another speedrunning legend, Carl Jobst, which began a friendship. On the 30th of December, DarkViper had ran a new game called Hades in the category Heat Early Access First Patch, with a time completion of 15 minutes and 57 seconds. At the end of the year, however, DarkViper had seen the popularity surrounding rage moments and reactions, which conceived the idea of how the run ended, where he would make compilations of failed speedrun attempts for a more comedic value, which would prove to be a big hit with his audience and new viewers to come. Moving into 2019, DarkViper had achieved a new time on the game Hades of 11 minutes and 54 seconds, putting him in third place. However, this wasn't enough to quench his hunger, and he decided to follow up with Apollo Legend when addressing his live stream, going over the responses that had been thrown his way in the light of his recent coverage of Our White Goose. In the video, Apollo Legend tries to defend himself against backlash over Our White Goose, where Apollo appeared to be doing some damage control, but the real issue with the livestream had been that he didn't mention DarkViper or even allude to his video's existence, which will become more apparent at the end of 2020. In the video, DarkViper brings up clips from a past livestream where Apollo had been joined by one of his friends that he uses to disprove the things Apollo had been saying in his current livestream. One moment in the video really stuck out to me though was when he said that Apollo had left out details that would run against the narrative he tried to tell. The reason this sticks out to me is because this is exactly what DarkViper does in his anti-react series, leaving out information that would debunk what he says. However, DarkViper decides to say,
"This whole affair ultimately makes me question the validity of other videos Apollo has made. How many important facts has he left out because everyone knows, or because he doesn't find them interesting?"
Which he uses quotations in this clip, acting like this was something that Apollo had said, when Apollo didn't actually say this. But Apollo did say that he didn't show the other messages because he just didn't find it interesting, and that his main focus was looking at the bigger picture with Antifa going after speedrunners. His other criticism in this video had been that Apollo had said that Antifa calls Goose some bad names, which is arguing semantics just for the sake of it, when Apollo shows what had been said in the video where he shows the tweet. So you can't really make that argument of downplaying the severity of the claim. He does this to show Apollo not to be taking the situation seriously to damage his credibility. To ask how can we trust the validity of prior content due to one or two videos is a bit excessive, don't you think? Where DarkViper's first video came off as informative, this video came off as informative but also a bit petty as well, as it's clear that DarkViper needed to show that Apollo wasn't remorseful about his prior video.
It is clear that Apollo doesn't regret the video he made, take the criticism against it seriously, or think he has done anything wrong. I just hope people are more skeptical of the claims Apollo makes in the future, his intentions, and the people that he associates himself with.
However, the audience didn't have the same sentiment, and it would be another successful hit on his channel, and other speedrunning channels such as Escape had begun to take notice and shared DarkViper's sentiment. After making this video, DarkViper went back to doing what he does best, speedrunning, taking more records from others. However, it was in February where his series GTA 5 Facts and Glitches You Don't Know really began to take off, with people finding the series to be informative and a fun time watching. However, when a new technique of getting around the open sandbox had come about, some runners were thrilled, others not so much. So DarkViper put it to a community vote on the Discord if classic any percent consent should allow the method of save warping into the runs. After the die was cast, the community voted that it should be allowed, and DarkViper implemented it into the category rules. However, another runner, Friendly Baron, hadn't been too pleased with this, and he made a rant on his stream about the subject, to which DarkViper wasn't too pleased with. But Friendly Baron, after calming down, had realized his error and apologized on his stream to DarkViper and to his audience. But as the old saying goes, you should never wound a snake, and for good reason. In April, Friendly Baron, Berhak, and DarkViper had gotten into a discussion in the Discord where things got pretty heated, with Friendly Baron venting his frustrations, mentioning that DarkViper had been picking apart their arguments line by line and implanting what he thought their intentions were to be, and calling that a fact, which, if true, would be very disingenuous. However, DarkViper did randomly, out of the blue, just bring up how Friendly Baron brigaded him with his audience when Friendly Baron had told him that he already apologized for it, but it seems DarkViper had no intention of accepting the apology and was holding on to that grudge. Regardless, the technique was there to stay, but it was when DarkViper had uploaded one of his videos showcasing the blimp strat in his speedrun that it was clipped and made the rounds on Twitter and Reddit, to which Friendly Baron had pointed out that the clip had been stolen from another speedrunner's run, which DarkViper took his comment on the Reddit thread the wrong way, as Friendly Baron was defending DarkViper. In his misunderstanding for Friendly Baron's comment, he called him out for it, but then he quickly deleted it. As a result of the clipping on Twitter by PTSD Guts, DarkViper took it down with the use of a DMCA. In another stream, a troll in Friendly Baron's chat had been shit-talking him, so he fired back with his own mentions, along with giving subtle jabs towards DarkViper, which had been basically nothing to worry about. That was until the fans had sent DarkViper the clips, and he analyzed the stream and sent his frustrations to Friendly Baron by sending 3 emails to him before Friendly Baron responded. But they had a civil discussion on the topic, and they managed to come down to a mutual understanding, with DarkViper ending the last email with, "Have a good one, glad we were able to work this out." Later on in May 2019, DarkViper decided to start another new series called Pacifist Run, where he would beat the game without killing anyone, which seems like it would be quite the difficult run to do. Now, before we come into the next part, there is some clarification needed here. In my first part of this series, DarkViperAu, a professional victim, I said that DarkViper had been saying that Friendly Baron had taken a clip of a speedrun strategy that DarkViper had found, and that's why he started ranting about Friendly Baron, which wasn't the case. But rather, it was something even pettier than that. You see, in one of Friendly Baron's videos, The Strat's Too Dangerous for the GTA 5 speedrun, Friendly Baron talked about how the player needed to get to the top of a water tower in order to start a mission cutscene, where most would climb up the water tower by the ladders. He says,
"Another runner once got very lucky and flung all the way to the top of the water tower with the ATV."
Which had been none other than DarkViper himself.
He's not necessarily good, he's just a guy who takes his job quite seriously. Oh my god! Dude! Holy shit! Am I credited? No. I'm some other speedrunner. 90% of the time.
The fact that DarkViper wasn't mentioned by name was the straw that ultimately broke his sanity when it came to August, and DarkViper made a rant in his stream, which he says it wasn't intentional. So after the stream came to a close, he made a vague apology on his community posts, but it was when people called him a coward, he decided to edit and re-upload the rant in a rant about Friendly Baron, where he tried to make Friendly Baron look like a, in his own words,
he seems to be a terrible person.
When all it did was make himself look insecure, making mountains out of molehills. When the video came out, Friendly Baron took to Twitter to defend himself, which he had to deal with DarkViper's fans brigading him over literally nothing. DarkViper decided to add more fuel to the fire by uploading another rant the following day on the 19th of August 2019 with "Friendly Baron is anything but friendly," where he tries to debunk Baron's response, but in doing so he showed how he lied to his audience in the previous video about not sending Baron emails.
This sentence is meant to imply that I kept the footage for malicious purposes, that I was planning this all along rather than it being what it was, an outburst of a man who's had enough. But of course, if you know anything about me, I don't delete anything. I don't keep anything organized. This is my desktop. This is my old desktop files. Here are all my hard drives. They're just chock full of random crap that I will never delete. I will just keep buying hard drives. I will keep it all. I'm a content creator. Who knows when I'll need some of these things? Why I had the footage at all relates to this section. Baron wants to imply that, he felt bad and just emailed me to apologize for the things that he said about me. But of course, Baron didn't email me, I emailed him, because I was quite taken aback. Baron had had snide remarks and snaps at me for all the time I had known him, but this was on a new level. This was the worst public outburst towards me I've ever experienced. If you know anything about me, I don't like being lied about, and I don't like dishonesty in general, so
Don't you think it's a bit odd that DarkViper here keeps repeating of how he doesn't like dishonesty in general, and yet here he is being dishonest? As Baron didn't say he initiated the email exchange between the two of them, but said that they emailed each other. In the previous rant, DarkViper said that he doesn't send Baron emails, but here he tells us that he does. Seems DarkViper has something in common with the #1 brand in honesty, Quantum TV. However, if that wasn't enough, DarkViper felt he needed to make a third video the following day called Friendly Baron versus Some Other Runner, my last video, where he says he needs closure that this petty drama was keeping him from sleeping. If that was to be the case, DarkViper, then you should seek therapy. He decided that he needed to show instances where he had said good things about Friendly Baron, which doesn't really excuse instigating a drama over not being mentioned in a video, which would be a reoccurring theme in his later reaction videos. He also cries when Baron doesn't think of DarkViper as a rival, when they hadn't had any rivalry on the leaderboards. There wasn't a constant back and forth where Baron took a record and then DarkViper took it back, like how there was with Torix. Torix would be his rival, not Friendly Baron. Imagine where you beat one of DarkViper's runs and he suddenly will think of you as a rival. He then goes on a tangent about Friendly Baron not crediting him for the mere mention of an event that happened in his stream. Throughout this video, you can hear the several misunderstandings DarkViper has when he is blinded by his rage. One moment that will always stay with me in this drama though is when he says that he has to live with the memories, acting like this was a deeply traumatic moment of his life.
bunch of commenters said, rather than saying some other runner did this, you probably could have dropped DarkViperAu's name, And Baron responds, actually, I name dropped Burhack this episode, if you notice, so okay, I guess. When making casual versus speedrunner, who does he talk to? The people who have years of knowledge and experience? No, the two people with the least experience, who've had sporadic interest in the run at best. I feel like a fucking fool, because I gotta live with the memories, you see, of all the times someone said, hey, look what Baron's saying about you. I'm like, well, that is needlessly cruel and hurtful. But, I'll just keep being nice. He'll eventually come round. He said he would, right? He can't be that bad a person. He's a fellow speedrunner, man. We're meant to help each other.
Looking at things through Friendly Baron's eyes for a moment, DarkViper had gotten upset with him because he talked about him before in April, to which resulted in 3 emails where he detailed the moments where Friendly Baron had made mentions and jabs at DarkViper in response to a troll within the chat. So wouldn't it make sense that he didn't want to mention DarkViper in case it upset him again? You're damned if you don't mention him, and you're damned if you do. There is no pleasing this guy. Eventually, though, it seems that DarkViper and Friendly Baron reconciled this petty drama and moved on from this moment in their lives, for either the greater good of the community or to cease the spread of hate coursing through Baron's social media. However, during this time, there was a very different type of wave happening in the real world. A heat wave that bred lightning storms and strong winds all over Australia, to which began the bushfire disaster. Regardless of the impending threat, DarkViper continued to speedrun and had brought his classic 100% record down to 9 hours, 59 minutes and 4 seconds. His next adventure would come in the form of a vlog on the 6th of October, where Matthew begins his quest to find a suitable houseplant.
How the fuck are there fucking spiderwebs on my fucking mirror again? Oh, water when soil begins to dry. Should I eat some? Oh yeah, that's real. Do not expose plant to direct sunlight. Fantastic. I'm a responsible adult.
Wait, I forgot to get the saucepans for the water underneath. You want to see me juggle? Yeah, you don't want to see me juggle. Ah, know their stuff, dude.
During this time, even more storms had emerged from the sky, which in turn had given light to more fires beginning to burn the country from multiple angles. Emergency services had quickly been overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity of the infernos, with the dry weather making the fires easier to spread. The reasoning behind the emergency services becoming overwhelmed, however, was due to the emergence of more lightning storms brewing high above them, igniting more fires at different spots across the country, with places like Sydney being covered by a thick blanket of smoke. A foggy haze continued to plague the Australians and tourists who gathered to these locations. On the 28th of November, an unknown individual had gotten into contact with DarkViper regarding Apollo Legend on the behalf of their employer. There they had been reaching out to him over Apollo sending out some emails asking for clarification to their CEO's past records on twin galaxies in research for a new video. However, instead of telling them that he doesn't have a lot of information on this matter, he instead responds with a wall of text, going over his thoughts on one of Apollo's videos, 10 speedrunners that were caught cheating, with a notable mention of how many ads were on the video, perhaps trying to present the arguments that Apollo was only interested in the monetary value in making this new video, in telling this new story. Even though DarkViper does say that Apollo's videos have been fairly good, he tells them that they shouldn't be expecting for their side to be told faithfully due to his own thoughts on Apollo's video, on Our White Goose. He finishes the message by saying that he hopes the CEO isn't bothered by Apollo if the claim is a false statement, but if the claim isn't to be false and instead is true, then he has no said issue with Apollo exposing the fraudulent achievement. Moving into December, DarkViper had begun another new series which would prove to be another success on his channel, with the GTA 5 Chaos mod series, where viewers could control events within the game for some dramatic and, like the mod says, chaotic moments in the speedruns. However, after seeing no point in having a demonetized channel in his ranks, and fearful of one day someone criticizing him for past statements he made in his videos, DarkViper decided to delete his first channel, DarkViper 8888. As in his own words, someone could say, "Ah, but you said this before." He then changed his second channel name to DarkViperAu, with this becoming his main channel now. His fears about the past coming back to bite him seemed to be genuine, as he would soon release what he really thinks about reaction content and of Asmongold, a streamer that up to this point he had rather been fond of. A person, in his own words, had helped him to sleep, making really good content, and that he loves Asmongold's content. So just remember this when we come into the embers of the reaction crusade in 2020. With the dawn of a new year, the bushfire disaster hadn't just attracted widespread attention, but scam artists who claimed to be collecting donations to aid the emergency services, when all they had been doing was lining their own pockets. There had also been misinformation brewing online, with people claiming that the government had cut costs to the emergency services, which hampered the efforts made by the fire services. However, this turned out to be misinformation, as spoken by Shane Fitzsimmons, the head of resilience in New South Wales. However, DarkViper did host a charity stream to help the emergency services financially, which yielded a result of 20 grand to aid in the battle against the blazes. In the following month, on the 13th of February 2020, DarkViper took us on another journey down to the local store to find some very expensive bourbon.
Just show an image, you stupid device. No machine can be this fucking incompetent. Just rotate. It doesn't want to rotate because why will you not rotate? You rotate and then you rotate. What did they do to this thing? It worked well. Here's my new sunglasses that my mother bought me, you know? I look like a fucking Logan.
I'll be back.
Are they the same but just different glasses? I guess I'll buy them both.
I'll have to grab you already. Do you want me to produce it a box sheet?
No, it's fine. That's fine. You too. Combined, they cost $150. Okay, let's go home and taste test this bourbon, shall we? That was so awkward. My Lamborghini. Okay, I'll show it to you guys. There it is, guys. You like that, chat? Just dive in there. My Lambo, chat. Let's go home, away from people looking at me weirdly. Like, did that woman really think I could be under 18? 18, people. I mean 18 for 10 years. Let's fucking go home. Where's my sunglasses? There we go.
I'm back.
This guy in front of me is going 40. And the speed limit is 50. We are both driving shitbox cars. At least I drive the fucking speed limit. This is why I need a camera that can move. There you go. See the guy actually? That mug is so big. Yes, it's wonderful. I have a slightly bigger one somewhere. Morning at 7 p.m. That was really smooth. Or try it straight. That's nice. That's definitely better than Makers, I'd say.
In the past, we have seen the many demonstrations of DarkViper's knowledge of routing, secrets, and optimizations of the GTA 5 runs, which would prove to be instrumental in defeating the next challenge in his eyes, the OCO or one-hit KO run, where the player's health is set to the lowest it can go, so if a small amount of damage is taken, then the player will die. The goal was to be the very first person to beat GTA 5 with absolutely no damage, none whatsoever. DarkViper coveted this achievement as people before him had gotten a lot of exposure in the past for completing no damage runs, and this was to be his main motivation for running the challenge. In the prior year, another player had managed to beat the Dark Souls trilogy with no damage, or any hits being received, and he had gotten a lot of attention from that, which will give us the context to an event that will happen in the future.
Trilogy no hit run! We did it! Fucking 12 months! Game in history! Dark Souls history!
In March, the bushfires had successfully been extinguished, with the smoky haze that cloaked Sydney finally beginning to lift. However, the joy of such an event came with great sadness, as the devastation of the flames had been put on full display, with thousands of homes being destroyed, along with the damage done to the wildlife's habitats, and the death toll had reached upwards of 35 people. On the 5th of April, DarkViper had uploaded The Great Debate, which had been the debate he had with Destiny back in 2018. However, this wasn't much of a debate, more like a conversation about justified belief and motivation for existence, which brought forth an extreme example of how Destiny can't say he doesn't care for others.
Once you get to that point where you can't argue from their experiences to make what you're saying seem more plausible, you're stuck, and there's nothing you can really do about that, I think. Unless you can somehow in your chair demonstrate, look, I really don't give a shit about people, stab a person in the face for completely no reason. Like, you can't do that, of course. And that's what I was trying to say in the video. Like, a lot of your viewers would be unjustified accepting many of the things you say about yourself or your self-assessments, because there are more evidenced explanations for your self-assessments, namely self-delusion or lying, you see? And that's all I was saying. Like, I don't know how you would disagree with this.
So I need to go out and like find a way to secretly murder someone, and then that.
Well, if you were really convinced, if you really wanted to convince a person of another viewpoint, but at the end of the day, it might just be impossible for you to convince that person. More evidenced explanations, such as self-delusion and lying, are more justified than believing what you're saying to be true, simply on the given the justification that you've currently given, which is, I'm saying it's true, which is
all you've presented thus far. But that's, as I say to you, that's all you can present, because it's not like you can start stabbing people in the face in your room to demonstrate that you don't really care about people, right?
Sure.
However, in the light of this debate came with some drama between Mutahar and Ethan Klein, when Mutahar believed that Ethan had been hypocritical for donate shaming Jeff Bezos in the light of the pandemic, which Ethan wasn't doing at all. And after some reflection on his part, he then uploaded a new one to correct some of the things he believed to have gotten wrong or misrepresented. But it was when Ethan fired back with his own video to clown on Mutahar that he issued an apology to Ethan and to go through his reasoning for making the videos on him, which the community were more than willing to listen to both sides of things and to forgive Mutahar for this. However, there were some people who didn't care about the resolution to this drama and wanted to stir the pot even more so. And one of those people had been DarkViper himself, with him doing a reaction video to Mutahar's apology, and the other two videos Mutahar had done, which is where we get to the more conspiracy theory side of DarkViper, with him implying that because Mutahar had gotten a lot of attention because of the drama, this had been the motivation for making two videos on the subject matter, which if this was to be the case, then I think Mutahar would have milked the drama by making more than just two videos.
From this video, Some Ordinary Gamers just gained so much love and affection, tens of thousands of followers, so many views, just unbelievable, right? But then disaster struck. He found out that he was wrong. These are re-uploads, by the way. So Some Ordinary Gamers learned that the main premise of the video that he made that gained him so much popularity was false.
DarkViper's next argument had been that Mutahar knows what he is doing, that he is playing the YouTube game, like this is YouTube Total War.
So yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. I definitely recommend you...
So even in the apology, the second apology, he cannot help but deflect. He can't help himself, because taking accountability for his actions is beyond this man. This very humble, character-driven man with his 10 Ws couldn't even make an apology video without deflecting. Look at that look on his face. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He's playing the YouTube game so well, and all his fucking fans are being played like fucking fiddles.
But yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. I definitely recommend you watch more, because I'm going to add like another couple extra seconds of context. But Ethan actually wasn't really donation shaming Jeff Bezos over there, kind of like, I think, more asking a question. But, you know, being the internet and what it is, a lot of people quickly make a speculation, which coincidentally something that I fucking did, and I was wrong. So, you know, it's time to call out what it is, what's worth being called out. You know.
So the audience only gets an understanding based on what DarkViper wants them to see, not the full picture, which sounds like he is distorting reality with his own black and white perspective, something that will become a trend midway into this year and beyond. There is something that is worth mentioning here though, seeming as this was a reaction commentary video without a face cam. This had been only 3 months away from his grand stand against the villainous Asmongold and his empire of stolen content. But we will find out that DarkViper's morals and ethics will shift to suit a new narrative quicker than you can say 14 meticulous pages. Before we move on, there is another thing to mention with Apollo Legend, as DarkViper had openly talked about his dislike for him on his live streams, where he claims that his first video on Apollo Legend had been his claim to fame. This can also be seen to be bringing the drama back up, something he would later criticize others for doing so. On the 13th of June 2020, DarkViper had uploaded a new rant video where he talks again about his dislike for Apollo Legend. In the last Red Dead Redemption 2 rant, disliking Apollo Legend, devs hate speedrunners, speedrun rambles, 150.
A long time, so one of the first videos I ever made in the gaming kind of sphere on my YouTube that blew up was a critique of Apollo Legends. The story basically goes like this. It came to public knowledge that our White Goose and another dude who was far less populous and no one bothered to care about him, like he barely had any online presence, were found to exist in this Discord that was discussing ethno-nationalist shit, inferiority of races and how, you know, constructing a superior society based around one race and hatred of minorities like Jews and shit. And so this all came to light and there was a big hubbub about it.
White Goose came out and apologized and said, I don't believe this stuff anymore. I've moved on, da da da. And people were like, yeah, but this is like from like 6 months ago. This wasn't, and it was like a lot of logs. Like it was like years and years worth of logs. It'd be one thing if it was like, well, Apollo felt it necessary to defend his friend. And you can be like, okay, so he was just a bit blinded by friendship, which he didn't disclose. He disclosed none of the associations that he had in the past about White Goose. Their friendship, their association with a charity, with a speedrunning event that didn't get off the ground, Oceanside. He disclosed none of this. Presented himself as an impartial third party, just presenting the raw facts while doing anything but. Like, anyone who wants to look up this video, watch it, and you come away with a distinct impression. How can you trust anything Apollo has ever said about anything? He in one fell swoop presented himself as a biased, unreliable narrator on any topic he can come forth to speak on in the future. Because this wasn't a recent topic. He waited 2 fucking months to talk about this. Like, I'm sure even our White Goose was sitting there on the sideline going, Apollo, shut the fuck up. People have forgotten about this to a degree. You brought this all in the limelight. Apollo Legend, in his desire, if you can really believe he was desiring to defend White Goose, did more to harm our White Goose's reputation than anything that our White Goose did. Yeah, Apollo Legends, at the very least, not a unbiased, a person attempting objectivity in his report. The dregs of society, the actual ethno-nationalists, white supremacist sort of areas of the internet, all came out in droves to defend Apollo. Did he ever say anything rejecting these people, saying, oh, I don't want their support? No, of course not. The little backtracking that he did was only done on that tiny little live stream to like 1,000 people in a video that was unlisted that no one saw. The only people who probably saw it are those that watched it because I responded to it. When was this? Years ago. And as I say, you can't find this video on Apollo's channel anymore because he has unlisted it. I don't know how long it took him to unlist it, but it was quite a long time. I mean, Carl has kind of come to replace our White Goose in terms of the content that he produced.
It's hard to tell whether Apollo took much notice of these mentions or videos considering his Twitter had been wiped after 2020. However, Apollo hadn't made a video in response to DarkViper. On the 23rd of June 2020, DarkViper had a conversation with Mainscript about the issues with the second batch of clips he wanted for his TikTok account. In the DMs, DarkViper gets irritated by the questions the editor asks, as Mainscript is confused as to what the issue with the clips is to be. DarkViper tells him that he is finding great difficulty in locating the corrected clips with audio versus the ones without audio, because Mainscript had compiled both versions in the same OneDrive folder. After asking again for clarification about the clips with, why do they suddenly have no audio? Yesterday they sounded fine. DarkViper responded with, they didn't have audio the first time, and then out of anger, lets the editor go and blocks him. After being fired by DarkViper, Mainscript runs to Apollo Legend of all people to vent his frustrations out over the issues he had with working with DarkViper, who, judging by the messages and future events, seems to be high maintenance when it comes to his content. Over the course of a week, Mainscript had seen that DarkViper actually had uploaded the clips to his TikTok account that DarkViper said weren't any good, so DarkViper used the clips without paying the editor. In hearing this and through what Apollo had heard from Mainscript, Apollo decides to make his own video that gives criticism onto DarkViper. However, Apollo, possibly thinking that releasing a video for his 300k YouTube channel would be overkill, so he opted to make the video unlisted so only a specific few would see it over the many thousands. Apollo then tweeted at DarkViper on the 3rd of July 2020 with the video calling DarkViper out.
This is an important message for DarkViper. Someone with the username Mainscript has messaged me. He's claiming that he was an editor of yours and that you haven't paid him for the work he's done, and he's backed this up with thorough evidence. He sent me lots of screenshots where you both discuss how the video should be edited, Mainscript sent me this recording of one of his edits playing in Adobe Premiere, and it seems to be an exact match for what we see on your TikTok. Within the screenshots Mainscript has provided, you can see yourself, DarkViper, agree to pay him for 27 clips. Your agreed rate was $1 per clip, and so in Mainscript's PayPal
I regret my
history,
decision to
we
listen
see
to this
one
whole thing
payment
again.
from you for $27.
Hearing
Of
this
course,
much
I'm
bullshit is
obscuring your
terrible.
names. The problem is, you asked him to edit more clips. He did. You seem to be using these clips to promote your social media, and yet Mainscript has received no payment for these clips, which is backed up by his PayPal history. He's claiming you haven't paid him for over 140 clips.
He can claim whatever he wants.
Blocked Mainscript, so he can't even talk to you anymore. Now, I don't really care that much, so I'm just going to make this an unlisted video, but I'm not going to message you privately about this because I don't trust you. I think people like you should be dealt with in public, and apparently Mainscript already tried to handle this privately and you didn't want anything to do with it. It's now been over a week since you blocked him, so his only alternative is to make this issue public. I understand you had a problem with his editing, so you fired him, that's fine. But you still have to pay people for the work they've done, and it seems in this case you haven't done that. Also, word of advice, be nicer to your editors. If you read through the screenshots he gave me, you were pretty rude to him.
Cause he was an asshole.
And then on top of that, you seemingly scam him out of money. This is a disaster waiting to happen, and you have to know it. And why do you have to block the guy just because he didn't edit the way you want it? Even if I fired someone, I wouldn't block them just because they did a bad job, man. I really hope this isn't how you treat all your editors.
However, DarkViper at this time, by his own words, had been taking some time off due to the loss of Wreckful, who sadly took his own life. It is unclear if Apollo had known that DarkViper was mourning or taking time away, so this could have been just a complete coincidence with the timing of it all, as it doesn't look to be a calculated move by Apollo, which is what DarkViper would claim. In seeing the tweet with the video attached, DarkViper responded with, "All of these things are false. I pay for any TikTok I use, at a rate of completion of all 5 episodes. We had a falling out due to his inability to complete the work, and thus did not finish the job, which is why he was not paid for the second job. The job was completed by Real Inc." Apollo had then responded to the new information with, "I will remove the tweet, assuming that is true, until I get more information." He says he edited over 140 clips, which he was never paid for, which is over 5 episodes I'm pretty sure, which Apollo had done just that, removing the tweet with the attached video, which would show good faith, as the video had just been his criticism. But as we will see in the future, DarkViper cannot handle criticism, as he can't tell the difference between criticism on his work and a personal attack. In his view, they are one and the same. See, there had been reasoning behind Apollo criticizing DarkViper, because in his view, an editor who worked for him had been scammed out of their money. DarkViper then shows the conversation between himself and Mainscript to back up what he is saying, showing he has nothing to hide. Apollo followed this up by insisting that the editor should still be compensated for the work done, as he believed that Mainscript had been owed something. DarkViper had said in this conversation, "But please, don't lie. If you cared about truth or presenting a true narrative, you wouldn't have put forth that tweet in the first place. No, you took it down because it might blow up in your face," which is an assumption at best, but it's interesting that DarkViper suspects the worst of the people he has beef with, rather than what is in front of him. In retaliation for the exposure, DarkViper takes some DMs he had with the unknown employee, and states, "If anyone is curious about what Apollo Legend does in his spare time, he harasses people to the extent that they reach out to me, a stranger, for help dealing with him." But the DMs don't say anything about harassment, nor do they even talk about asking for help. This is a reach at best. The other person in the conversation is merely expressing an opinion, but here DarkViper calls it a fact. Something that does ring truth here though, is a practice spoken about by Friendly Baron in his previous drama, that DarkViper will hold on to such things as messages, screenshots or clips to later twist against them when he feels it is necessary. Imagine if Apollo really had been harassing these people back in 2019. That would mean instead of sounding the alarm, DarkViper turned a blind eye to this event, only to bring it back up 8 months later to use against Apollo to poison the well. If DarkViper really believed that Apollo had been hounding people, then why does he only just bring it up 8 months after the fact, not when he had learned that the event occurred? The conversation continues with DarkViper stating that Apollo was someone who got lied to but now has to defend lies, showing that DarkViper had taken into consideration that Apollo is working off of what Mainscript had told him, not calling him out of malice. DarkViper on the same day then decided to make a video called Apollo Legend is Scum, where he backtracks on his previous arguments that Apollo had to defend lies, as DarkViper had admitted that he did upload the clips Mainscript made without paying him, but under the reasoning of negligence.
I upload whatever's in my folders. These had been checked, so I upload them. I didn't think, well, they've come from this fucker. I just upload them. If this person wants to list me whatever TikToks that he made, that he feels responsible for, that are on my TikTok, I will personally take them down today. I would rather do that than give him the $31 I think that he believes himself to be owed, because he ain't owed shit. It would take me like 15 minutes to recreate what took him 10,000 years and 57,000 prompts. But of course, this is clearly not something I want to be dealing with today. But Apollo is an asshole. What Apollo did is, in 3 a.m. my time, just after the death of Vekful, which is the last thing I fucking tweeted about, which I'm sure he read. He puts out a public tweet, doesn't message me about this personally, doesn't want to get more information, just believes 100% what a random fuck on the internet tells him, because that's Apollo Legend in a nutshell.
So Mainscript didn't lie to Apollo Legend. DarkViper did upload the clips that were deemed not good enough without paying Mainscript for his work. So this drama had been started out of a misunderstanding. But because DarkViper argues with emotions flaring and semantics, he misses the point and decides to start calling Apollo names such as gullible and arsehole, all the while listing his own assumptions about Apollo. In one of these assumptions, DarkViper says that he is sure that Apollo knew he was mourning the loss of Wreckful, as it was something he tweeted out. But you don't necessarily need to visit someone's profile to tweet at them, so it's understandable if Apollo never even saw this. In DarkViper's perspective, Apollo was a sinister individual who knew he was grieving, that he was drowning in his sorrows, but instead of offering a helping hand, he steps on his head. That this was the opportune time to go after him, when there isn't any evidence or any statements that would back that theory up. Apollo, in seeing the response, uploads "This speedrunner thinks I'm scum," where he lays out that he didn't want to make this video, that he thought that it could be best handled on Twitter. However, in showing DarkViper to be admitting to using Mainscript's work without paying him, Apollo cut the context to this statement, cutting out the part where DarkViper made it clear it wasn't intentional.
And then he makes this amazing video titled Apollo Legend is Scum, where he admits himself that there are clips on his TikTok for which he did not pay for.
I just upload them. If this person wants to list me whatever TikToks that he made, that he feels responsible for, that are on my TikTok, I will personally take them down today. I would rather do that than give him the $31 I think that he believes himself to be owed, because he ain't owed. It would take me like 15 minutes to recreate what took him 10,000 years and 57,000 prompts.
Did you just hear what he said? DarkViper just admitted that he's using Mainscript's work to promote his social media, but refuses to pay him. He will only delete the videos if Mainscript requests. How is he supposed to request that, by the way, since he blocked him?
According to DarkViper, he reached out to the editor, and with Mainscript's guidance, they took down the videos he had made. Mainscript then does a 180 on Apollo and tells him that he likes him. But this should stop, that he didn't want this, nor was he expecting any sort of compensation from it, that it was the editor's fault that his work didn't meet DarkViper's standards. But this begs the question, why would you tell Apollo your story? Supply him with the evidence in the form of screenshots of past conversations, and even going so far as to give him evidence that a TikTok clip that existed on DarkViper's account was the one that you made for him, if MainScript didn't want any of this. It comes across to me as throwing Apollo Legend to the wolves as soon as the clips were taken down, selling Apollo out as soon as he got what he wanted. Apollo, however, didn't make another video on this subject after this tweet, but DarkViper was far from done, as he made Apollo Legend actively works to start drama, surprise when drama starts, which the thumbnail is very disingenuous, acting like Apollo had lied for ad revenue, which is another moment of poisoning the well. In the beginning, DarkViper complains that Apollo's viewers think of him as a drama channel, when he has made videos surrounding drama in the past. But this isn't a fault of Apollo's, and it is fair to say that the viewers came to that conclusion on their own. DarkViper in this video acts like a hypocrite though, when arguing that Apollo bashed him on Twitter, when he has done the exact same thing to others in his past on his public YouTube channel, to Rydog, Torix, Friendly Baron, and even Mutaha, where he tried to stir the pot against them. He then makes a poor point to say that if Apollo didn't want the drama, then he could have just DM'd DarkViper in private, when he himself didn't see the point of settling this in DMs, rather than in public, with the following tweet. Dealt with privately? How on earth is Apollo Legend the person who I am meant to be resolving this with? He is a guy who got lied to and now has to defend the lies. He later shows his misunderstanding on why Apollo mentions doing him a favor, when it can be seen that Apollo believed it would be doing him a favor in giving DarkViper criticism. DarkViper then brings up Apollo deleting his tweet and twists it into him trying to hide what he said, when all he said was what had been provided by MainScript.
Be a simple little dispute that could easily be solved. I thought I was doing DarkViper a favor by just pointing this out on Twitter, but
so he was doing me a favor, guys. In the now deleted tweet, he was so, just overwhelmed by his compassion for me and thinking about me as a person. He deleted the tweet where he was showing me compassion. It's almost like he was hiding himself being an asshole, once more obscuring information from his viewers.
Apollo could have made it public on his main YouTube channel for his main audience to see and just called it a day, but he didn't. Apollo wasn't being an asshole in this video. He deleted the tweet out of DarkViper's benefit, not in an attempt to hide his critique. DarkViper does make a good argument, however, when he says that the editor didn't complete the work, therefore shouldn't get paid when the terms for the agreement aren't met. However, this soon becomes overshadowed by saying that Apollo is a bad person, as it certainly adds to the pattern of behavior that we can see throughout his past internet beefs. In the next part of the video, DarkViper responds to Apollo taking him out of context by saying that he uploaded the clips to his TikTok account, then he had the falling out with MainScript, which if true, then that would give Apollo's side a bit more backing, as that would mean that the clips were good enough for his TikTok account, but he didn't feel like paying the editor for his work. But he quickly backtracks on this statement, which seems to be out of trying to recollect the events.
I just upload them. If this person, so he literally cuts the part where I explain why they were uploaded, because I didn't know they were his. No, actually, probably better way of phrasing it is I uploaded them, then we had a falling out, and I didn't think about them. Was I cognizant when I was uploading them that they were his? Because as I explained before, that I'm just uploading the files one after the other, I may have associated the numbers with him, but I certainly wasn't thinking about those TikToks when we had a falling out. Either way, I wasn't knowingly using his content after we had a falling out. It's not his content, it's fucking my content.
He then shares that he and MainScript had gone over the TikTok account and had deleted the videos that weren't paid for, resolving the drama, but he twists this to be Apollo saying,
was he supposed to request that, by the way?
So he is aggrieved. MainScript is aggrieved. So I said to him, hey look, just tell me what the TikToks are. because I don't know, or at least I didn't know until I looked it up. This was a video made in about 15 seconds by a very emotionally damaged man, me. And so I said, I will remove them because I don't like this guy. I don't like his content. I don't want to be associated with him. I should say his content because my content, his work. And that was my attempt to right the issue. But Apollo's like, what? You can't right the issue by removing the content? That's nonsense. So he complains that I have the content up, but my attempts to remove it, not good enough. Because this isn't about fixing main script, fixing the issue. It's about Apollo starting drama and profiting from it. As you can see by monetizing the video and literally censoring it to keep that monetization. It's not about the issues. Could you really imagine Apollo giving a shit about something like this if it was literally anyone else? But I called him out for that situation where he defended the white supremacist from GDQ's banning. And I said he completely, as he does here, misrepresented everything. And he doesn't like me for that. He even unlisted the video that I criticized him for because he knows that he did wrong. Well, he won't admit that publicly, of course. It's all about the drama with Apollo.
He does this to present a false narrative, as how would DarkViper be able to know that Apollo knew that this event took place at the time of making his video, as these videos had been made in the same day as the drama unfolded on Twitter. DarkViper then tells us that Apollo wasn't doing this out of any moral reasoning, but because he was looking for his next big story to profit from the drama that he creates, which is disingenuous. As if that was the motivation, then why would Apollo not just release the video for his main audience of 300,000 subscribers to see if he wanted to maximize profits? But instead unlisted the first video and linked it in a tweet on his Twitter that consisted of a very small percentage of his main audience. It doesn't make any sense. But this was exactly his argument against Mutahar, so I'm not really surprised that he brought it up again. To back his argument, he brings up a drama that happened 2 years ago in 2018, with Apollo's video on RY Goose, of how Apollo left out details that went against the narrative. He says this to present Apollo as to be an unreliable narrator, but in presenting this argument, it breeds nothing but confirmation bias, that we should judge Apollo for 1 or 2 videos that were, in DarkViper's own words.
When was this? Years ago. And as I say, you can't find this video on Apollo's channel anymore because he has unlisted it.
But by going by this logic, maybe we should have a recap on DarkViper's dramas to see the pattern of behavior here. As in the past, we have seen DarkViper portraying those he gets into beef with as terrible individuals over the pettiest of reasons. He called Rydog a psychopath because he lied to the moderators spammed in the forums and had submitted a run for review, and that Torix was a bad person because he associated with Rydog.
But I have learned that the person that I can attribute the most suffering in my life to is a person that he interacts with on a very frequent basis and never repudiates the lies that he tells. People talk about this like I care that I lost 12% world record. Motherfuckers, I lost 12% world record 9 goddamn months ago. I was insulted because I banned Rydog's friends in my Twitch channel. I am sorry. I have suffered so much mentally because of this man that if you are friends with Rydog, you are not a good person. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to be around you. I have said, honestly, that I fear going to events that Rydog might be at because I would fear that I would be harmed physically. I consider Rydog to be an insane psychopath who has done everything in his power to make my life worse. But Rydog is nothing compared to all of you who say that he should be able to do this and cheer him on.
With Friendly Baron, he made 3 videos on him because he made jabs at him in streams and didn't mention DarkViper's name in a video. Because of these things,
he seems to be a terrible person.
Oh, and let's not forget the time DarkViper didn't show the full context when he made a conspiracy against Mutahar.
But yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. I definitely recommend you watch more because I'm going to add like another couple extra seconds of context. But Ethan actually wasn't really donation shaming Jeff Bezos over there, kind of like, I think, more asking a question. But, you know, being the internet and what it is, a lot of people will quickly make a speculation, which coincidentally is something that I fucking did.
I was wondering what's with the weird number. So it's 1 million.
So yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. I definitely recommend you.
So even in the apology, the second apology, he cannot help but deflect. He can't help himself because taking accountability for his actions is beyond this man. This very humble, character-driven man with his 10 Ws couldn't even make an apology video without deflecting. Look at that look on his face. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He's playing the YouTube game so well, and all his fucking fans are being played like fucking fiddles.
Certainly, there is a pattern of seeing the opposition as terrible people, which is very convenient when arguing against something or defending yourself in drama. It's such a coincidence that all of these people had just been bad or terrible or even malicious towards DarkViper whenever he gets into drama, but these people weren't any of these things when they didn't invoke his wrath. After this video had come out, the credibility of Apollo had started falling into question. Apollo then privates both of his videos, to which DarkViper catches wind of this, so he uploaded Apollo privates video rather than be shown liar.
Oh, no. Apollo has privated the video that he sent me. Why would he do that? I mean, he was doing me a favor, if you recall. So remember, like he flamed me on Twitter, but I called it flaming me on Twitter. He's like, no, Matt, I was just doing a favor. I was an impartial person, just to convey information upon you to help you. So let's watch this video together because I did download it. These are the important parts, but just so you know, I'm not being sleazy by cutting things out like Apollo does. We're gonna watch the entire thing, not the parts that I think are relevant. Watch the entire fucking thing. This is more shit that Apollo privates because he doesn't want you to know it.
At the beginning, he makes the mention of, unlike Apollo, he won't take anything out of context. So we get the full unaltered first video Apollo made, which again was just criticism. Although DarkViper would know all about taking people out of context, which is something that we will see later on as well. He then says that Apollo had already passed judgment before hearing both sides out, calling Apollo's character into question, but he doesn't include that Apollo, upon hearing DarkViper's response, deleted the tweet that criticized him until he got more information. All the while, DarkViper had been taking things out of context on Twitter to make Apollo look bad. Are these the actions of a good person or a reliable narrator? DarkViper then twists what Apollo says when he talks about Mainscript trying to handle this privately for a week, acting like this is Apollo lying, when he says,
and apparently Mainscript already tried to handle this privately and you didn't want anything to do with it.
What, Apollo? But you said he couldn't contact me. And he goes on to say,
it's now been over a week since you blocked him, so his only alternative is to make this issue public.
So Mainscript didn't make this issue public. Apollo did. After claiming that Mainscript attempted to contact me. But if you watch the video that Apollo just released, where he says a speedrunner calls him scum, he claims that Mainscript couldn't contact me about this issue. So which is it, Apollo? Am I being back and forth with Mainscript for a week trying to hammer this out, but I just won't listen? Or is he not able to contact me? Pick one.
What Apollo said was factual, as DarkViper did block Mainscript. However, in the first video, Apollo said that Mainscript tried to handle this with DarkViper for a week, but he didn't want anything to do with him, which is what we can see within the DMs between the pair. In presenting it like this though, DarkViper twists what happened to make Apollo look like he lied.
Also, word of advice, be nicer to your editors. If you read through the screenshots he gave me, you were pretty rude to him.
Cause he was an asshole.
According to DarkViper, asking for clarification makes you an asshole, as in the DMs we can see what Mainscript was asking for whenever DarkViper updated him. DarkViper then acts manipulative here when he claims this is how Apollo did all of his videos, passing judgment onto others without hearing both sides out, which is a bit of a projection, but it is a statement that originates from confirmation bias and ignoring the facts that go against his own narrative. DarkViper then lies about Apollo, telling his audience that he hounds people so much that they have to turn to him in dealing with Apollo.
Man, so passing judgment, but apparently doing me a favor, thinks I'm fucking scum, has to bring this shit out in the public, already passed judgment. So, because as you can see, Apollo knew that he had to take this public because he already knew I was guilty without consulting me and listening to exactly one fucking person. This is how Apollo does his videos, all of his videos. I said in these tweets, so you can actually learn what my opinion of Apollo was before this incident, because I put out these messages where Apollo hounds people in his spare time so much that they look up on Google some way to deal with him. And so they contact me because my videos come up talking about him. And I talk about here, I think Apollo has done a handful of videos that are quite good. But the problem is he is a witch hunter who will find himself a witch if he tries hard enough.
Which, if anyone has actually read the DMs, then they would be able to see how flawed this statement actually is, as the other person asked for clarification. He paints Apollo to be a witch hunter, only interested in releasing a story for monetary benefit, regardless if all of the facts in the video are true or not. But here, DarkViper does the exact same thing. One thing I will grant, however, is that Apollo did seem to have a bit of a bias when he was talking about stories surrounding games done quick.
You can't really know if Apollo's giving you the facts or just the selective facts to suit the narrative that he wants to make, as shown in that white supremacist video.
Which is a fair point. Unless we did the research ourselves, we won't actually know what Apollo says is true or not. And that is the trust we have between viewers and creators. The same can be said with people who make documentaries. But it is a rich point coming from him, as he has done this in the past, only remembering what is important to his own narrative he wants to tell. And he will do this in the future very soon.
This is the Apollo legend. If you're watching his videos thinking, man, Apollo's just giving the straight facts, in this case, and many other cases, that's so painfully not true. And he doesn't like me because I communicate to people that this is the case.
In the aftermath of this video came the downfall, as Apollo's audience had turned against him, and he had made an announcement on Twitter. Something that is interesting about this drama, however, is the sudden change to the overall narrative DarkViper spins when he breaks bread with Mainscript. As soon as Mainscript and him had made peace by taking down the clips the editor made, all of a sudden, Apollo wasn't the gullible fool DarkViper made him out to be, but a master manipulator pulling the strings. Now, isn't that just convenient for the overall arc of this story? However, in the future, we will see everything that DarkViper had spoken about here was indeed a complete projection, as we jump from one drama to the next. DarkViper then felt the need to make a community post about another individual creator, who was also called DarkViper. However, the post is just him complaining and how the account was terrible for his brand, to which his fans had sought the creator out and began to brigade the other DarkViper over this, which it turns out the creator had used this name since the 90s and had no affiliation with DarkViperAu, to which he responded with the following tweets stating that the other creator had been trying to get above him on YouTube when they both cover different games, as the creator had been a Roblox YouTuber, not a GTA 5 YouTuber. He also goes into how the creator's mere existence will hurt him, that it pains him that the platform promotes the creator but not him, stating that it isn't his fault, but all of this feels like a sympathy bait to try and get the creator to change his name, which was successful, as the creator has now gone by the name of DV Plays. However, in this situation, DarkViper does say that he should have been more aware that his fans would have brigaded the creator, which seems like a genuine mistake. However, does DarkViper have the ability to learn from these mistakes? It seems in this case only time will tell. However, we won't have long to wait, as an entirely new drama would begin during this month, with the Pokemon drama happening in this time frame, which sparked a conflict between content creator and streamer, where one notable criticism had come up with Pokemon reacting to other people's videos while eating her lunch or dinner.
For the past few weeks, Australia has been battling some intense wildfires. This is what the wildfires look like from space.
Sad.
And because of this fact, her commentary didn't exist, which started the React debate. DarkViper, however, did not focus on Pokimane and instead tried to steer the drama towards another streamer with the trilogy of Asmongold. In Asmongold built an empire by paying with exposure, reaction content, where he calls reacting to an entire video as to be just re-uploading a video, which is further from the case as Asmongold provides a lot of commentary in most cases. But let's give DarkViper's argument the benefit of the doubt here, as he too had reacted to Apollo Legends video in response to him, and he watched the entire video, so I guess by his own logic we can say that DarkViper had re-uploaded Apollo's video, which by his own standards wouldn't be transformative. He then went out of his way to try and make Asmongold look untrustworthy in order to damage his credibility, when he shows a clip of Asmongold responding to a video claiming that he runs the Asmongold TV channel.
And yeah, Asmongold is a streamer, but this is his official clip channel on YouTube, and he runs this channel. It's monetized.
No, I don't. I actually don't run the video. I don't run the channel. Cat Danny and Daily Dose of Asmongold run the channel. I have no oversight over the channel. They upload everything on their own, completely independent of me.
To which DarkViper tries to debunk this with a video that he found on Twitter, which he conveniently cut context for in order to give his argument more weight.
Anyway, the second thing that I want to talk about, and actually kind of need to talk about, is my YouTube channel and the way that I want to handle, I have to handle Asmongold highlights on YouTube from now on. And so I partnered up with them, and we made the Asmongold TV highlights channel for YouTube. Now that is going to be the official Asmongold Twitch highlights channel from now on. Give me 48 hours after that stream's over to get all of that content uploaded onto YouTube. And the reason for that is by that 48-hour window, we will have had everything uploaded onto YouTube from that stream. And that way we can kind of preserve the ability that people, want to have in order to make content about my stream. And it's something that I think has helped me and something that I want to continue as much as I possibly can. I don't want to have to go through like fucking sending takedown notices for videos and shit. It's obnoxious and weird to me, makes me very uncomfortable.
I think this point can be best summarized as DarkViper taking clips out of context in order to suit his narrative, splicing clips together to make it seem like Asmongold had been lying in his stream.
Anyway, the second thing that I want to talk about, and actually kind of need to talk about, is my YouTube channel and the way that I want to handle, I have to handle Asmongold highlights on YouTube from now on. So basically, YouTube created a policy to where duplicate content gets both of the creators of the content demonetized. And in the wake of that, two of the most prolific Asmongold highlights creators came up with me, and I was, Daily Dose of Asmongold and Cat Danny came to me, and they're like, hey, can we make a channel together? And, that way they can preserve their revenue. And, since they were, both like the longest, standing, like Cat Danny's been making videos for me forever. Daily Dose of Asmongold was making videos, multiple ones every day. I thought this was a good idea, and so I partnered up with them, and we made the Asmongold TV highlights channel for YouTube. Now that is going to be the official Asmongold Twitch highlights channel from now on. And it was before then, but I want to reiterate that because it's so important now that YouTube has this duplicate content policy. Now, they talk to YouTube, and unfortunately, there's no real way that we can just say that we don't really care if other people upload it or something like that. There's no way that we can effectively show that we're acting in good faith with this unless we DMCA people that are putting out videos that are duplicates of ours, which is something that I'm very uncomfortable with. I don't want to do at all, and I don't want to make this video, but if I don't, then everybody loses. So the best compromise that I came up with and the best way that I thought that everybody could win, at least as much as possible, is if you're an Asmongold highlight content uploader, please just give us 48 hours before you upload anything. So, oops, monitor went off. That was my lighting right there. It was my monitor. Okay, that's a little bit better. Anyway, so basically, if I do a stream, give me 48 hours after that stream's over to get all of that content uploaded onto YouTube. And the reason for that is by that 48-hour window, we will have had everything uploaded onto YouTube from that stream. So effectively that makes it to where there'll never be an issue of duplicate content, because you'd know that, okay, well, we uploaded, like, let's say a transmog competition or something like that, and they'd know not to upload that. And that way we can kind of preserve the ability that people, want to have in order to make content about my stream. And it's something that I think has helped me and something that I want to continue as much as I possibly can. But if the videos get demonetized, they don't show up in a lot of search results and stuff like that. It's a problem with my Zachar channel too. So it's something that I don't want to see happen, and it's bad for everyone. So I think giving us just a 2-day grace period of, not making any highlights or uploads on YouTube of content for 2 days after it's created is going to give us that window to create the content ourselves, make sure that we haven't done it already, and then you guys can do whatever you want after that. And so that's that is the best solution that I can possibly think of. If somebody has a better one, please let me know. But unfortunately, this is what we have to do now that YouTube has the new duplicate content monetization policy. So a little bit of a complicated video, but I did want to put this out there and make sure that everybody was on the same page. I don't want to have to go through like fucking sending takedown notices for videos and shit. It's obnoxious and weird to me, makes me very uncomfortable. So just please, guys, try to just follow along with this, and we'll try to reach out to as many people as possible to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That way we don't have anyone, like getting surprised by this. So again, guys, just to kind of refresh everybody, streams are still happening tomorrow. Everything is still going as planned tomorrow, 9 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you missed the stream, Asmongold TV YouTube channel is going to be in the tweet. I'll get a link to you guys, and you can just watch the highlights off of there as well. And for everybody else who wants to upload Asmongold highlights, please give us at least 2 days after the creation of the original content to get it uploaded onto the official channel. Make sure it doesn't conflict with the content on the official channel, and then you can upload whatever you want. And that effectively completely circumvents the duplicate content policy and pretty much ensures that it won't happen at all. So while also at the same time giving people the opportunity to still make some money off of the content I made, but they're editing and putting it on YouTube. So that's pretty much all I've got. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And any of you, I guess I'll probably see you tomorrow. Peace.
How ironic that name really is, DarkViperAu. Remember a moment ago when he said that his philosophy had been to be nice to others?
I come from the philosophy. Well, actually, Linus Tech Tip said it best. Even if you're an immoral person, which I don't consider myself to be, but let's assume you are an immoral person. You don't care about other people. You don't treat them with kindness. You're just a complete asshole. In the industry of content creation, it is still always in your best interest to be nice to others.
Well, it seems that philosophy goes flying out the window when you need to get some cheap views on a recent drama. In presenting these clips, DarkViper had then issued out some examples as to how one would be running a channel with the following.
Do you own the channel? Do you hire people for it? Do you have the ability to set guidelines for the content on the channel, control who can post there, and remove whatever you please? Do you benefit monetarily or otherwise, clout, brand, whatever, from the channel's existence? If the answer to even some of these questions is yes, you do run the channel. Look, man, just because I produce all the content and my face is the bloody logo of the channel, and I've specifically told people that they can put this content on a channel that has my name in it, it doesn't mean I run the channel. Sure, I could at any point terminate the channel, tell them to stop, take down all the videos, but I don't run it. I don't run shit. I just hire people with the express purpose of doing something specific for me that I outline that they can do. And then I can pull the plug at any time or change the requirements at any time. How am I running things though? Come on now. If I'm not specifically outlining every single thing that an employee does, how am I running this business? This is kind of beside the point of the video, but clearly a person is well within their rights to say you run the channel given your relationship with it, right? I mean, if you want to get down to semantics and say, well, actually, the definition of run I was using, that's just fucking dumb. He clearly had every right to say you run the channel.
These examples, however, are pretty weak when you compare them to any other business, as one could own a channel, much like a business, but then hire people just to run it for you. Just because it has his name on the channel, owns the channel, or benefits monetarily, doesn't necessarily mean that he runs the show. show as well. 1 moment of research on DarkViper's part would have spared him from assuming things about the channel, as the About section tells you everything that you need to know. His next point in this video was to say that Asmongold had been arguing semantics when he wasn't. He was just correcting the creator in the video that he didn't run the channel, when the creator of the original video seemed to have made the same mistake DarkViper had done so, assuming things then presenting the assumption as a fact when they have yet to prove it. The next point is a complete trust me bro when arguing that some small percentage of creators had been okay with Asmongold reacting to their videos, which I would love to see how he came to the conclusion of it being a small, insignificant pool of creators. But here is my favorite moment of the entire video.
I'm not sure that watching a 20-minute Bellular video from start to finish constitutes as fair use.
Well, even if it doesn't, let's assume that it doesn't constitute as fair use. Bellular is okay with me watching his videos. So even if it didn't constitute as fair use, then it would be fine. Like a lot of the people who I watch their videos, they are completely fine with me watching their videos. Even Uber Danger told me, he tweeted at me, he's like, yeah, I made the video, you know, I'm waiting for you to watch the end of it.
This is clearly not a good argument. Continuing with the premise that Asmon stated, that nothing he makes is fair use, if you steal content, you don't get a pass if after the fact, some small portion of the people you stole from are actually cool with it. You don't get a pass morally or legally. Hey dude, I stole a bunch of stuff from a lot of people, but some of them after the fact said it was okay, so it's totally fine, man.
Which again, I would love to see the source of this information. Unfortunately, all we have when he talks about legal matters are his words, nothing more. But let's look at what he is saying here. So let's say Asmongold reacts to, I don't know, this video, and I said that is okay for him to do so. AKA, I'm giving Asmongold permission to react to this video. In DarkViper's mind, this means that Asmongold would be still infringing on my content, even though I said that I don't mind him reacting to my stuff. Where is the logic in that? DarkViper then tried to argue that creators are scared of the backlash that will befall them if they say that Asmongold cannot react to their videos.
This rationalization's even worse though if you think about the grander context of what he's talking about. For if someone didn't allow Asmon to watch their content, they could potentially face social and financial repercussions for saying no. Some people might not watch that other person's content just out of spite, or they might start disliking all the videos or talking shit about that person or spam in the comment sections, who knows? If a person says, Asmon, you can steal my content, because we're going by the premise, remember, that it's all stolen content, this doesn't mean they actually want it to occur. It's just possible that they don't want to face the negative repercussions of saying no.
Which, again, he doesn't show the source. Another trust me bro type of argument here. But if you miss the extreme examples, then I'm sure you will be more than satisfied as DarkViper argues one of Asmongold's points with, I shit you not, the definition of murder. Yes, that is correct.
And so if you want to have the argument whether if something is fair use or not, I think that's more of a legal argument, and I don't know really what side of the fence that's going to fall off on. I don't know, but I don't think that he knows either. The fact is that, like, it's very hard to say what really is fair use and what isn't, and I think that it's contextual and it's a legal definition, right? Neither of us are lawyers, but it's just from his perspective, he doesn't like the fact that I'm watching videos on my stream.
Do you know the definition of murder is the unlawful premeditated killing of one human by another? So imagine me and Asmon are at a bar and we see someone say, I'm gonna stab you with this knife until you are dead. And we watch a person walk over, stab another person until they're dead. I would scream, holy shit, he just murdered that guy. But Asmon wants you to believe he would say, but neither of us are lawyers. Murder is a legal definition. In life, we judge things based on the evidence available and communicate what we think is most likely true. I will immediately grant, just like with fair use, sometimes a murder is actually quite hard to judge. Is that murder isn't? Who knows? But, as with any wrongdoing, there are some really painfully obviously illegal things, and the existence of ambiguous cases doesn't change that one fucking iota. There are 4 commonly used factors that we can use to judge whether something is likely fair use or not. As long as you're of an age where you've completed high school, whether or not most of Asmon's content fits into fair use will be pretty obvious by the end of the video.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation.
Asmongold then presents a point of a creator who had told him before to not react to his videos, and since then he hasn't reacted to any of the content from that creator, showing that Asmongold is reasonable when you give him the time of day. But DarkViper, in arguing against this, just twists the meaning of this by saying,
"All I am asking is that everyone personally contact me to tell me whether or not I can watch their content in full and then re-upload it to YouTube. If you say nothing, or you're unaware of what I'm doing, I'll just assume full consent. I mean, they haven't said no, right, Asmon?"
Perhaps DarkViper was trying to argue that people shouldn't have to ask for him not to react to their content. It should just be a given. But then again, did DarkViper ask any of the developers if he could stream out their games to his audience? Did he take the hardships of the developers into consideration prior to making his series on GTA 5? Which, if you read their terms of service, it actually says that Rockstar isn't okay with people making money off of their games by making commercialized content. DarkViper then manipulates reality once again with his trusty editing software, when Asmongold argues against the point of, if he was to react to a Family Guy episode, then he would get a strike from the network. However, he only shows the first 8 seconds of the 40-second segment, and then argues as if Asmongold's point had been about reproducing content. To quote DarkViper here, how can we trust the validity of prior content from him when he feels the need to cut context from the opposition's points and doesn't give you a fair representation of the arguments they made? He twisted the argument because he couldn't argue against Asmongold's points.
There's no way that he wouldn't get a copyright strike. Now,
well, the reason for that is because those videos have a different way of being monetized. Those videos are pay-per-view. The way that this is different is because the videos on YouTube are free to begin with. So if you're watching a video on YouTube, you're providing a free alternative for something that was originally something that you had to pay for. Those videos are pay-per-view. So for example, if you're going to watch something, and like if you want another contextual example, like Train watches South Park regularly, and that hasn't been a problem. But with a lot of these videos, if you're watching a movie or something like that, the movie itself, you have to pay to watch the movie, which changes the way that people actually access and the movie's monetization schedule, the way that you actually make money off of selling that type of a product. So the way that this is different is because the videos on YouTube are free to begin with. So if you're watching a video on YouTube, you're providing a free alternative for something that was originally something that you had to pay for. That's the difference between watching something like Family Guy or whatever and watching a YouTube video. This is a false comparison.
But maybe we should look at the next segment of the video where DarkViper claims that Asmongold takes issues with others reacting to his reactions, which I think would be a very interesting point if he could prove this. However, when he presents a clip to try and prove what he says to be true, the clip doesn't exactly correlate at all to his argument and makes him look like a complete joke.
Of course, you may have missed that a little bit back there. I didn't really draw attention to it, but Asmongold is a big hypocrite because, you know, he gives particular restrictions on when other people can watch or use his content.
Anyway, so basically if I do a stream, give me 48 hours after that stream's over to get all of that content uploaded onto YouTube. And the reason for that is by that 48-hour window, we will have had everything uploaded onto YouTube from that stream.
So Asmon, like every YouTuber and Twitch streamer, has certain ideas as to how their content can be used by others and in what capacity. He has concerns about other people uploading content similar to his own and what that could potentially do for the purpose that he has for his channel and his content. Weird.
Huh? The last point I'm going to highlight here is the Spurg moment he has when he argues against Asmongold's point about adding to another's work.
Come here. Secret. I don't care if you think the sun shines out your ass, or if you think your commentary is a gift from the gods. It doesn't give you any right to take anyone's content. It doesn't make anything you're doing justifiable if you think you're really fucking smart and your content is so fucking amazing. Oh my god, the commentary. I'm literally fucking jizzing.
which I guess DarkViper knows what he is talking about here, as he would be the expert on stealing content, what with the debates he freebooted on his channels in the past, or when he reacted to Mutahar's apology, or when he reacted to Apollo's video in full, which by DarkViper's own logic wouldn't be transformative, right? The reception was a mixed one to say the least with this video, and DarkViper decided to show the video to Asmongold on Twitter. However, when Asmongold responded to DarkViper, he chose to delete his original tweet, which is something that DarkViper had criticized Apollo Legend for in the past. With the mixed response, DarkViper decided to make the second part of this trilogy with Asmongold's dominance by re-uploading content, the dark side of reaction content, which is just him doubling down on his points from the first video, trying to get people to understand his point of view better, after he drew the line in the sand by taking Asmongold out of context. However, DarkViper does say in this video that the arguments of fair use in correlation to gaming walkthroughs cannot be used to defend reaction content because they aren't a market replacement. But what he fails to recognize is a reaction video, when done right, isn't a market replacement. And it seems very convenient that he would say that the exact type of content he makes isn't a market replacement. Again, he got a bit of a mixed response with this one, so he again made another video, The Unseen Impact of Reactors, a critical analysis featuring Asmongold, which the video doesn't actually feature Asmongold, but rather plays clips of him, which you can't say in good faith that this video features him, as features implies that the creator would be partaking in the creation of the video. For example, if I did a collaboration with another creator, and I was in a call with them creating a dual commentary, then the title could say featuring TheBritishRunner, but here there is no such thing in the video, which is just clickbait, something that DarkViper would admit to doing to play more into the algorithm, which will be important soon. Before we move on, there could be some good criticisms that people could give to Asmongold. For instance, more effort to differentiate from the original content could be done with the thumbnails and titles of these reaction videos. Unfortunately, DarkViper doesn't grant these criticisms because it's not about wanting Asmongold to improve upon himself, but he wants Asmongold off the internet, judging by how many videos he has made on him. When there was criticism to be had over his recent content, the videos touched the heart of a very special someone, and that person was none other than The Quartering, who made his own video going over reaction content, and even gave DarkViper a shout out, to which he was very upset at this prospect. But I'll let DarkViper explain why.
How the fuck does he know he hasn't played the game? I need you to understand how funny this statement is, okay? The only reason that Quartering was in a situation where he, gave me a shout out, despite that I don't like him at all and I talk shit about him on the internet, is because he did no research. Had he contacted me to use my stuff or whatever, he wouldn't be in this predicament. But, remember, he is critiquing me now for using someone else's video to make a point when that's the very reason he's in this predicament to begin with. He used my video to make a point rather than say it himself. Oh my god, how funny is that? But people watch him thinking he knows things, and it's hilarious because it's the most painfully obvious thing that he knows nothing about anything.
I know nothing about anything. All right, well, do you want to... my master's degree probably is worthless, I suppose.
You disingenuous, dense motherfucker. Obviously you have to know something about something or you couldn't tie your shoes. Obviously, my statement was in reference to the videos that you make. You have a master's degree in marketing. Are you a marketing channel? I wouldn't have made that critique if you were, but you're not. You're some combination of, I don't know, a reviewer of other people's reviews, and a culture critic, and a regurgitator of other people's YouTube videos, and you're giving your shitty opinions about the news each day in 17 videos. You aren't on a marketing channel. Obviously, if you look at my previous statements in the video that you were watching, I was making a summation of my point in a sort of flippant way, in that you lack information on topics, you speak on them anyway, and so you say false things.
Bruh, you literally do the exact same thing. Come on, DarkViper, don't sell yourself short. Moving on from the React debate, we come to September 2020, where DarkViper felt exhausted from the past videos he had made, and all he wanted to do was chill out with some good old-fashioned
Among Us.
but with no other streamers to call upon to join him in his shenanigans, he arranged a group of his fans to jump into a lobby with him, but on one condition, that they know how to play the game. A notable member of this lobby, known as Scott, however, was slightly new to Among Us, but wanted to play with DarkViper as he was a fan of his work. Through the many twists and turns of the match, however, DarkViper had been found out as one of the imposters and was pushed into the airlock to meet his end, leaving it all up to Scott, who had been the other imposter. But alas, victory was not in the cards for him, and Scott had failed to take care of the remaining players, and DarkViper lost his cool when he unleashed his unbridled rage at the unsuspecting fan.
Apologize, I'm still a little new at the game.
If you don't even know how to win the game, why are you playing?
I do, I'm just sorry.
In complete retaliation to this loss, DarkViper decided to ban Scott, as he, in his own words, will be forever reminded of this event because of the mere presence of his name, which didn't sit well with viewers who had called DarkViper out for being a sore loser. Along with the clip being featured on the subreddit Livestream Fails, DarkViper days later had then made an apology to Scott and unbanned him from his streams, realizing that he was simply being a baby. But fortunately, his fans didn't hold this against him. On the 11th of September, DarkViper had begun a new series, looking through his own subreddit and going over the posts, which had been rehashes of his just chatting portion of his streams. However, a gem would certainly be found in a later video of this series, which gave us the infamous crying scene. However, DarkViper would soon find himself all alone very soon, as his housemates had decided to move out from the household, taking all of their belongings and possessions with them. And how many possessions are we talking about here? Well, DarkViper shows us in a new video, giving us a grand tour of his hollow accommodation.
I sleep in here now. It's not, I haven't put away my clothes, which I just realized is the one part of the entire house that isn't clean. But I've got all this exercise equipment stuff, which I never use.
To which he soon bought the household. On the 19th of September, DarkViper had uploaded my extraordinarily expensive setup in my garbage house, showing us the echo chamber he now resided in.
My small little table here that I recently built, excess water. See, look at all my lavish furniture that I have. Okay. My fridge, which is a fridge.
Remember just a moment ago when DarkViper had been willing to clickbait viewers with the old featuring part of his titles? Well, here we see another display of hypocrisy when it came to the 5th of October, where he had uploaded an empire of stolen content, clickbait, and lies. The problem with Mad Trevor and Mad Carol, where he tries to argue that the channels had been stealing his series GTA 5 Facts and Glitches You Don't Know, when the series had been just the same type of content, and you can't really argue that the two series are the same, as it's normal for groups of creators to do the same series when those videos are quite popular. But in the video, DarkViper seems to argue that because he made that type of content first, then the idea of GTA 5 Facts and Glitches You Don't Know is his by right. You can't claim this to be stolen content. As for the rest of the title being clickbait and lies, he doesn't show any of the channels to be making statements that would be considered to be lies, which in turn would be clickbait, showing his more hypocritical side. It seems the more and more he tries to expose others for, he just ends up exposing himself.
Unfortunately, the Mad Trevor channel has decided to make their own series, Secret Glitches You Don't Know, Top 30. Kind of sounds like my series, GTA 5 Glitches You Don't Know.
And the reason why they sound so similar is because it's literally my series. If you go into this video, you can see all the timestamps for what glitches they've included, and you can sync them up perfectly with my different episodes. As a matter of fact, I've made a document just that I'm going to put in the description linking the glitch in their video to the glitches from my series. They are so brazen with their theft, with no credit to anyone, that not only do they reference my series in the title of the video, but they also use my series in the tags. Many of you may be unaware of this, but sometimes to create a video, it can take an extraordinary amount of time thinking of idea, testing, experimenting, and so on. Mad Trevor and these other mad channels can make the content they make so much faster because they skip this process entirely. They simply replicate what other people have made. They don't take their content specifically, like they aren't taking these individual frames created. They just open their own GTA and go, oh, so that's what I have to do to have that footage? Great, I'm gonna do that. Obviously, I have no legal standing. What they're doing is scummy as but technically not illegal. All I'm asking is, please stop sending me these people's garbage content. Hear about it all the time. For example, in Mad Trevor's Secret Glitches You Don't Know video, he talks about this skip on Crystal Maze, the mission shortcut. And people send this to me and they go, oh, are you gonna use this shortcut yourself? I discovered this shortcut. I spent a day testing it to find out if it's actually faster and the optimal ways of doing it. And eventually, when I realized it wasn't faster for speedrunning, how to present it in the Facts and Glitches video. He doesn't have to spend that day. He can just watch my video. Link in the description if you want to see my version of this. I'm not going to make this video half an hour long.
God forbid that someone wants to make the same series as he does to cash in on that monopoly. However, one of the channel's Mad Smoke had emailed DarkViper stating that their channel isn't part of the other Mad channels that DarkViper had previously described, despite having the same part of their name. To which he made a rather good response to it, going over where he came to the same conclusion, with all of these channels being part of the collective. But he then doubles down on Mad Smoke stealing not his content, but the other channel's content, when they have similar, if not then nearly identical thumbnails. What's next? Commentary channels are stealing his Ramble series? On the 29th of November, DarkViper had done a collaboration with Sonny FN Evans in GTA 5, which had been a 2v25 match of cops versus crooks.
Oh man, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die.
I got him.
Oh my god, you freaking legend. There's another guy?
Oh, wait.
I made it.
Okay, let's go. We gotta get a car really quickly.
They always, when someone sees us, they turn on the sirens. There's no other. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna duck my head in.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Oh my god.
So they don't even know our strategy. Oh shit.
Around this time, however, a new type of story had begun to develop in the speedrunning scene when it came to the scandal of had Dream cheated in his speedruns, where the moderators had concluded that Dream must have done something to his copy of the game with a mod to manipulate the RNG of certain item drops when bartering with the pigmen in the Nether, which Dream hadn't been too happy about this, which began a drama within the Minecraft scene. And of course, where there is drama, you know DarkViper will be slithering nearby to sink his fangs into that juicy story, which he went from praising the efforts of the moderators to picking at and taking apart Dream's defense, exposing the falsities he presented. However, after Dream strokes his ego in his interview with DarkViper on Christmas Day, he then had a sudden change of heart, which we will get to in due time.
It's like trillions to one that Dream could have legitimately had the drops that he did. This video, brilliantly made. I could just react to it.
Wait, you could react to this? But DarkViper, I thought that reaction content was grossly immoral, that it wasn't legal. But here you seem to have no issue with said reaction content, my good sir. However, DarkViper felt he needed to switch things up and get back to that reaction content hate when he uploaded "Can a leftist justifiably support React content" on the 21st of December, where out of all of the videos DarkViper could pull from, he chooses to defend his position with Asmongold reacting to a Dark Souls speedrun, where he implies this reaction isn't good content, when I thought DarkViper had been a fan of Asmongold for the last 4 years, and only changed when the internet had been critical of Pokemon's reactions. Interesting how his praise of Asmongold's content shifts to a more negative reception when it is popular to do so. Something to put a pin in here is throughout this video, DarkViper goes above and beyond to make a mockery of Xanderhal and his own points. The reason this interests me and why we should put a pin in it is because it will show that DarkViper can give out the mockery, but when he gets it back, he certainly can't take it, especially when we are getting so close to that meticulously written document. In this video, however, DarkViper presents us with a new argument against Asmongold in reaction content, with it being low effort content. That by reacting to a video, someone like Asmongold skips the scripting and editing process, which seems to be another misconception on his part, as Asmongold has 2 creators on his team who edit the streams down into videos, with those being Daily Dose of Asmongold and Cat Danny. However, it seems that DarkViper is all about low effort, as he can't even do the basic levels of research, but then again, the same could be said in what he does in his streams while playing GTA 5, or hell, any streamer for that matter, skips the scripting and editing process. Should we lump all those streamers in with reaction content as well, because in DarkViper's black and white perspective, that would be considered to be low effort content? But I guess just talking to a camera is considered to be more effort than someone who is reacting to a video, when they have to provide not just relevant information but an entertaining commentary at the same time, which DarkViper has spoken about before not being a easy thing to do. Soon it came to Christmas, and DarkViper had given us the gift of enlightenment when he uploaded the long-awaited interview between him and Dream, which is a fairly good video, and the only criticism I can think of at this moment would be the question's length. Being given had been a little bit long-winded, and sometimes had multiple questions where one was supposed to be asked, judging by the chapter names. But at the very end of the interview, as spoken about before, Dream stroked DarkViper's ego, flattering DarkViper, which can be seen why his stance on Dream changed in the new year, upon reflection. However, behind the drama with Dream and DarkViper's sudden stance on Asmongold and his reaction content had been someone struggling with a diagnosis, his crippling mental health, and his past. And on the 30th of December, he had made one last return to the online platform in a video titled Read Description, which had been Apollo Legends' suicide message, where he talks on his health condition and the illness that was never going to leave him, that it would progress to the point where he would be hospitalized, where he would feel ill if he took the medicine, but if he didn't take it, then he would feel nauseous anyway, where he felt there was no escaping this condition, and so he made the ultimate decision to go out on his terms, perhaps taking control of his own fate while he still could. However, this video soon became overshadowed by one line of text in the description where he thanked DarkViper and Escape for pushing him over the edge, which most took as a sign of cyberbullying, that these 2 speedrunning figures had been actively targeting him, and so they voiced their disgust for the 2 YouTubers in the comments of their videos and on social media, which DarkViper made a video addressing this on the next day, titled Why I Was Mentioned by Apollo Legend Before He Passed. Before we get into this video, there is something I do need to address. With my first video on DarkViper being a professional victim, I said he laid out all the facts on the table and that he was sympathetic. However, upon further review, and by going through the timeline to see all of the events in motion, I was in fact wrong. It wasn't my intention to mislead you, but I do apologize for doing so. The message does appear to be a vindictive one. However, Apollo clearly wasn't in the right state of mind when writing that description. Many may see the message as maliciousness. However, some see it as a mental health struggle, as poor mental health can lead to a warped perception of reality, and I think it should be taken into consideration when revisiting this subject. Seeing things from DarkViper's perspective, however, I believe he panicked to a certain degree, as I think that type of accusation would startle anyone and cause quite the impact, and I couldn't imagine having to deal with that. However, DarkViper could have done a better job at handling this from his side of things. In the video, DarkViper goes through where he had made videos on Apollo Legend and why he had done so. However, he also misleads people here to try and limit the amount of hate he would get, as he says,
I don't know how long ago, maybe 6 months. Even when my video released, it had something like only like a 65% like ratio. So bombarded was I with Apollo Legend and the people who thought like him and the person who he was trying to defend. So for the next year and a half, I had never heard Apollo Legend acknowledge that I existed at all. I had never spoken to him. I had not acknowledged him since.
This isn't exactly true, as DarkViper made more than just one video on Apollo surrounding the topic of our white goose. He also had brought the 2-year-old drama back up 6 months prior to this video in June, where he talked about Apollo in a live stream that turned into one of his rambles on his main channel.
So how does this relate to Apollo Legend? 6 months ago, we had our second ever interaction when just after I saw on Twitter that I need time off, I need to cool down, I need to get away from it all because of Reckless suicide, Apollo decides to flame me on Twitter, call me out because someone told him that I had committed a heinous crime. Was there any evidence of this? Did he ask me about it? Did he talk about it? No.
Again, this isn't true, as Apollo had been contacted by Mainscript, who was the editor in question, who supplied him with things that backed up what was being said, that DarkViper had been using clips that Mainscript had made without paying the editor. While DarkViper may have uploaded these clips unintentionally, he still did so. So you can't say there wasn't any evidence of this when it existed on your TikTok account. In bringing Rekful back up, he doesn't say that Apollo may not have known about DarkViper taking time away to grieve, which is disingenuous, especially at a time like this, as he couldn't have known if Apollo had seen that on his Twitter account, which Apollo did allude to when he said that he didn't follow him. And even DarkViper said that Apollo must have known, which, as said before, is an assumption at best.
He presented this insane narrative that I was using this other guy's work and I was refusing to pay him, called me a cheat, a dishonest person, said people like me should be shown to the public. All my anger and sadness came out in the level of disgust that I had that he would attack me at that point, at my weakest moments. So I made videos showing that what he is saying was wrong, that he lied, that he at least very least misled. $33 to flame me on fucking Twitter, to get himself involved in what even isn't even drama, because it happened like a week ago that this guy thought he deserved $33, despite not completing the work. It was a non-story. But Apollo Legend had passionately hated me for a year and a half because I called him out for defending a white supremacist, or at the very least, not allowing his audience to see the evidence of why this person was disassociated with the charity.
He brings these things up as to paint Apollo being this malicious, manipulative, and hate-fueled character, using Apollo's own words in the description of his video to fuel this confirmation bias. He claimed that Apollo hated him for calling him out when the only mention Apollo made about DarkViper before this moment was the drama that happened 5 months prior. If Apollo really hated DarkViper, then why did he wait 2 years before calling him out, when there were plenty of opportunities to mock or ridicule him?
Apollo Legend released a video where he talked about the issues that he was going through, his physical, mental issues, in and out of hospital, the money he owes in regards to taxes. While he said in the video that no online petty stuff was the reason why he did what he did. He took that one last moment to write a description of the video where he said, "Thanks DarkViper and EasyScape for giving me the push that I needed." And he thanked Keemstar for being a good friend. That certainly sounds like the Apollo legend that I came to know.
The next part is him actually being sympathetic to Apollo's fans, friends, and family after he just dragged him through the mud to deflect any criticism he had been getting in the comments and makes the whole situation about himself. After the video had aired out to the audience, the sadness of the tragedy turned into anger, with his audience going after Apollo's video. However, one of Apollo's friends made a video response to DarkViper's video in defense of Apollo Legend.
If you take nothing else from this video, take this. That description is a meandering mess of emotion from a dying man. It's aimless, it's a cry. And that third sentence is no different. It's a lashing out. It's a lashing out from a deeply hurt man, it's a lashing out from a man that's about to die. The fact that that sentence runs contrary to what he said in the video for 8 minutes straight is all the more telling. Apollo Legend simply was not in the correct frame of mind to comport himself properly when he typed this description, whenever that was. I would have liked to believe the fact that he committed suicide alone was evidence enough of that mental state.
Where they talk about the good Apollo had done in his life, using his platform to uplift other people's stories regardless if they were known or not, which gives us a bit of context as to why Apollo went after DarkViper on the behalf of the editor. That the intention wasn't to hurt DarkViper, but it was to seek a resolution to this issue. In the light of this tragedy, DarkViper unlisted all of his videos talking about Apollo Legend negatively. Whether that was to be respectful or to save his own ass is uncertain, but you can come down to your own conclusions as to what that means. But in my opinion, his last video on Apollo had been anything but respectful, as he manipulated the events in his favor and left out details in order to save himself, which again is something he critiqued Apollo Legend for in 2018, which is very ironic. Coming into 2021, DarkViper had initially unlisted his video on Apollo Legend's mention, but after his community had told him to, he brought it back so everyone could see him drag Apollo Legend through the mud once again. On the 3rd of January, DarkViper uploaded, in conclusion, Dream, where he backtracked on all of his previous statements because he felt guilty about having a bias against cheaters. Too bad the same courtesy couldn't be afforded to others. However, he said he was embarrassed by the fact, which totally had nothing to do with Dream stroking his ego. Regardless, DarkViper went about his way in bringing us some high-effort content in How to Not Cook, a guide by someone who clearly needs help. Remember when the housemates took all of their stuff from the household as they moved out, including the entirety of the living room? Well, here we can see that DarkViper took it upon himself to leave his habitat in search of a sofa to spruce up the living room. But what he came back with is indeed a very unique choice. A swing chair. And in being unique, Matthew made a strange dish to say the least.
Okay, so I never clean this. So I should clean it now. Presumably, that is a sufficient amount. The fuck is that? The fuck is that, chat? I don't know what raw meat is meant to smell like.
However, like all great figures in history, Matthew shows us the struggles of opening a jar of salsa. However, this video did grant us with this little moment.
Of course I washed the bowl. How do you think it got into my cupboard? I washed it when I got it out of the bloody dishwasher. Admitting the spoon was kind of dirty. That's okay. I cleaned it with my mouth, so.
Moving into March, Mutahar had uploaded a video known as Twitch Keeps Making Mistake After Mistake, where he speculated about Twitch's new advertisement system. In seeing this, DarkViper decided to make a reaction video, or a reaction stream, going over his problems with said speculation. In the video, DarkViper makes all the same mistakes as those pesky reactors, occasionally pausing the video and giving his thoughts, which is indeed very interesting, as he said this wasn't a morally or just thing to do, and certainly wasn't legal. But here, he is going through the video, doing what he had criticized others for doing. So with this as evidence, we can safely say whenever DarkViper makes a criticism onto others, what he is actually saying is it's not morally okay for you to do this, but I can do as I please. Basically, he doesn't practice what he preaches.
It looks so good. And then you have people like this guy who rile up everyone. Twitch keeps making mistake after mistake, goes drones on about how doom and gloom this looks, gets to the end, and he's like, his tagline is, new ad system seems to be playing stages over at Twitch, and honestly seems like something that can divide and target creators that seem to make content that is against the norms. Thanks for watching. It's like Twitch has invented eternal life. Eternal life. Twitch has got it in a jar here, right? And Mutahar's like, man, the thing about all those people who are like 80 now, where like they're gonna drink it and be 80 forever. That seems like a pretty bad thing. I hope this doesn't get implemented. Like it's just like it's like missing the forest for the trees. Like it's so dumb. It's like you've drilled down to find the only possible negative that could maybe come from this in some like a beyond stretch of the imagination. You've picked for the negative. Like it's like, okay, so maybe only 99.99% of content creators would benefit from this change. Maybe, because ad revenue already is shit. The ad revenue I make on this platform is 1/37th of the money that I make. 1/37th! Advocating in a video to stay with that system is so fucking dumb. What is wrong with you? You admit in the video ad revenue is shit, and then you advocate for staying with the same system that they have right now. What the fuck? How can you be that dumb?
However, not everyone had agreed with this take by DarkViper, and eventually, Mutahar had been made aware of this video, so he responded with his own video in Addressing a Controversy, where Mutahar shows how DarkViper took him out of context by not showing the full argument, and showing that DarkViper goes on a tantrum, having the mentality of a 10-year-old child. He also shows that DarkViper had claimed Mutahar to be an advocate of Twitch, not making money, which he says he never said that. After this video came out, the public eye then shifted back to DarkViper with the waves of backlash coming back to crash into him, and he decided to make a response in Some Ordinary Gamers Still Argues Against the Well-Being of Content Creators, where he begins making a diagram of what he sees the ad system to be on Twitch in the program Paint. Such high effort you've got there, DarkViper. Such high effort. However, in this video, DarkViper continued to only address a certain portion of what Mutahar had spoken about, not showing the full argument. In response to the poor reception, DarkViper made another video titled Why Twitch Streamers Would Rather No Ads Than Twitch's Ad System, which is a bit of a disingenuous title. But if that wasn't bad enough, he then made another video titled How Mutahar Had Evolved. Did I misrepresent him? Where he appeared to be stroking his own ego in the beginning of the video, but he then says of how Mutahar had simply been talking about how he misrepresented him, when he in fact had said more than just that. In somewhat of an effort being made here not to misrepresent Mutahar, he then provides timestamps to show what he is arguing against, when he could just show the full argument, but I guess that would be asking too much from the grand DarkViper. However, he makes sure to be clear that he will only be responding to Mutahar's points about the Twitch ad system, not anything that he deems to be irrelevant. Where DarkViper could have put on his big boy pants to be on the more humbler side of things, he decided not to and continued to say that he didn't misrepresent Mutahar at all, showing how unself-aware he really is about his own conduct. While this drama had been going on, two things had been occurring in the background, with Ludwig beginning his subathon and Unnamed optimizing the Oko run, and attempting his own challenge run of GTA 5, where he had sent a message to DarkViper on Discord about some tricks he found that could prove to be very useful to him in his own runs, and later he would post another optimization in his private server to DarkViper. However, this would go all unanswered. After a month had gone by, DarkViper, with the help of the viewers, realized that he was fighting a losing battle and gave in, apologizing to Mutahar on Twitter, and he even did a collaboration in the mod GeoGuessr for GTA 5 to smooth things over, where they had to guess what location one of the snapshots had been taken in, judging by the photo. In the apology, he had said, "Sorry for being obsessive, aggressive."
I'm an obsessive person. This is an interesting character trait because it can sometimes be very beneficial and sometimes very destructive. So a few weeks ago, I saw a video by Subordinary Gamers about the leaked brand safety score from Twitch. And when I started my stream, I had a lot of disagreements with his video, so I said, look, I'm just gonna rant. During this rant, I didn't just attack Mutahar's ideas. I attacked him as a person. In the same way that I might attack an abstract idea or a multi-billion-dollar company, I, as Mutahar put it, went for his throat, which obviously wasn't appropriate. I wasn't presenting myself in a way to be convincing to anyone. It was mainly just to let off steam. And never did I think Mutahar would actually see that video, which obviously isn't much of a justification for my actions, because what, you can be an asshole to anyone as long as they don't know about it? That doesn't make sense. So when I learned that he saw my video and he responded to it, rationalizations of course have to start, because either you accept that you acted poorly or you change the way you perceive things to justify your response. So Twitch's brand safety score, really a small thing in the grand scheme of things, now big thing. Our disagreement, it is certainly some there, but now it's huge disagreement. Mutahar, we just disagree, and maybe I don't like exactly the way that he presented his video, but now Mutahar's the biggest asshole on the fucking planet, malicious beyond reason, and just hates everyone, right? These kind of stretching of reality to fit the way that I presented myself in the first video. And while I still think it's obvious that we both don't completely see eye to eye, and each of us likely has information that the other person does not have that is influencing how we're seeing things, it's me making a mountain out of a molehill at the end of the day. And certainly any negative feeling that I held towards Mutahar was just because I acted poorly and largely didn't want to, accept that fact. At the end of the day, we may not agree on this issue, but if I conducted myself in the way that I did with Mutahar, with everyone I disagree with, I would be the most lonely person on the planet. I would not be able to talk to anyone ever again. And that's clearly showing that I was not conducting myself well. It just shows how destructive obsession can be sometimes. You get a distorted perception of how important certain things are, and you just won't let it go. So I want to say I apologize to Mutahar, I apologize to his followers, if anyone that I particularly maybe in the comments said something mean to or something, or implied was not good in some respect. I apologize for that. I was just acting emotionally.
Eventually, after the drama had cooled down and things went back to normal, Ludwig had completed his subathon, which he had shown how much money he had made through donations, which came through his estimations as nearly $500,000. But when Ludwig made another estimate in showing what he would be taking home from all of this, he said he had made only $3,000 due to paying his moderators for entertaining the stream when Ludwig was unable to, for example when he was asleep. He also gave money to charity and had said for each new subscriber he would donate $1 to charity as well, which he had gained 80,000 new subscribers. Due to DarkViper's views on misinformation, he had sprung into action, disgusted at all of the articles spreading what Ludwig had been saying on stream, where DarkViper had taken all of his calculations and posted them in a comment under the new video, to which DarkViper had even uploaded a video regarding his issues with Ludwig, but after 20 minutes of it being up on the platform, he decided to delete it because allegedly people had been making fun of him. However, when it came to May, DarkViper would come to regret his stubbornness in not accepting help from others when Unnamed had presented a completed one-hit KO run of GTA 5, beating the game from start to finish without taking any damage, which he soon posted on Reddit and others had linked in DarkViper's Discord server. And this was when all hell broke loose, with DarkViper's fanbase brigading the run as a fake or spliced run, calling Unnamed a cheat, all because he beat DarkViper to the punch, which DarkViper had then decided to make a very questionable response to Unnamed, being able to achieve something that he couldn't, but I guess if DarkViper hadn't been too busy stirring the pot of drama, then maybe he could have reigned supreme in GTA 5 Oko. The response reads as follows. I have known for quite some time other people were doing runs of this category. People who could run every day from dusk till dawn. People who had no need to be entertaining, had fewer obligations and fewer distractions. Sharing of information with these people was almost entirely one-sided, or at the very least, everything I developed for the run was public knowledge, but the inverse was not true. The result that anyone running alongside me was getting far more information about what was needed to be done and what was needed to be avoided. They additionally had a rich foundation to build off for their runs, something I lacked when I started, meaning anyone who began later was far out ahead compared to where I was when I began. Strats were developed by me that were used by others, while I was given, at best, limited information. Anyone who did this in a speedrunning context would be ostracized and disparaged by everyone within the community. With this knowledge of being one versus a horde, I was under far more pressure to finally complete a run that I had already completed, segmented half a year ago, that I was a mere 1 damage from completing 4 months ago. The continued knowledge that I was running at a disadvantage with a quickly running out clock caused me to prioritize doing runs, even when I should have been recovering from illness or fulfilling other obligations. In my attempt to beat this clock, I suffered mentally, physically, financially, and even in terms of people's perception of my character. One could imagine your completion of this run would have been a relief. This is not so. Ultimately, all the suffering I went through, all the time I spent, now matters far less. An achievement I coveted can now never be obtained, regardless of what I do. The eons I have fallen behind in speedrunning, potentially to never recover, were spent on a quest that can never be completed. Given this context, what sort of response did you expect from me? A hug? Your success here does me no favors. On the contrary, it makes my life considerably worse, with the added fun that I will need to field questions about this from dusk till dawn for quite a long time. Why on earth would I want to associate with someone who took a solved category and hoarded optimizations for months until they beat the current best? Again, if you did this for any speedrun with an active community, people would rightfully spit on you. I have no obligation to like you, cheer you, or associate with you in any capacity. I will exercise this right and continue to attempt to self-ostracize myself from the wider internet. I obviously will continue to do runs because I am in a unique situation where completing this challenge actually holds a meaning to other people, and I will not leave those who have watched my progress high and dry without a conclusion. A moment in this response, however, is when he talks about the community rightfully spitting on someone who found optimizations for the run but didn't announce it, with it being the sole reason that they beat the competition. This is actually a lie, as Unnamed had messaged him prior to the optimizations and even posted in his Discord. Later on, DarkViper had posted a video titled Addressing the Controversy.
Literally. One of the biggest concerns I had with someone beating my time is knowing that no one's gonna give a shit who Unnamed is in a week. No one. No one will remember, no one will care. But me, people will bring up Unnamed for me for the rest of my fucking life. I will be forever that guy who tried hard to beat Oko and did not succeed first. When I say he has made my life worse, measurably so. I was the only person who could have benefited significantly from doing this first, but not only that, failing to do this will now impact the rest of my career.
I'm sure all of you at some point have been taking down an enemy in a video game, putting in all the effort only for someone else at the last moment to come in and take the kill. This is commonly known as kill stealing. Obviously, doing any amount of damage doesn't entitle you to a kill and isn't against the rules for another person to kill, even if you would have inevitably done so. But despite this, the normal response is to be a tad bit annoyed, but still go about your day because it isn't a big deal. But now imagine for a moment that you spent over a year of your life putting damage into an enemy for someone else to come and take that kill moments before your victory. The kill is gone, the rewards for it now never obtainable by you, and all your efforts ultimately were only for someone else's gain. Someone else who put in substantially less effort than you. What would the average person do and feel in that situation? Annoyance? Sadness? Maybe even anger? One thing you could certainly say about anyone in that situation is that they would never want to be around the stranger who was the one who dealt the killing blow, given that they'd either not be fond of them, or at the very least, this stranger would exist as a constant reminder of this event. On May 16, 2021, I was informed that a person named Unnamed had completed a no-damage run of GTA 5. I of course was skeptical. Unnamed was not a person I knew was doing no-damage runs. In fact, Unnamed was not even a GTA speedrunner. He had never submitted any messages or runs to the Speedrun Discord, and no one seemed to know who he was. I hadn't even heard his name until that very moment. Given that I had spent over a year spending countless hours determining that it was even possible to complete GTA 5 without taking damage, and that I was a frame from success many times, I was understandably saddened at the news, especially given that, unlike a speedrun, there is only one trophy to get, and that was first. A trophy that was now forever beyond my reach, despite all my efforts. In response to this, especially given my already present illness, pressures, sleeplessness, and stress, I felt it was in my best interest to limit the amount that people would be able to throw my failure in my face. Consequently, I removed it all from my Discord, including Unnamed, who I was watching brag in the general section. It was quite obviously not in my power, nor did I even try, to prevent others learning or discussing his run on other platforms.
This just shows how entitled DarkViper really is. It was at this time that the mods in the Discord server had banned any mention of Unnamed's Oko run, and Unnamed had allegedly been banned from the server due to his completed run out of pure spite. The commentary community had even covered the story with such channels as Mac Black. However, DarkViper would claim this to be harassment.
It's an issue of hypocrisy. A person who wants to hoard strategies for their own personal gain in challenge runs and speedrunning are people you shouldn't associate with. Once more, I have someone messaging me on Discord, harassing me about how they're going to beat me in the fucking challenge first. And I'm like, well, I'm ill, but, you know, gotta beat a fucking video game with no damage before some joke on the internet does it before me. And so I'm just going to do a run anyway. Because being ill isn't an excuse in 2021. So it wouldn't be so bad, you know, just keep getting those fucking messages from those fucking fuckwits saying they're going to beat me doing this. And it's just, I think without that stress, I'd be done by now.
And had DMCA'd any video showcasing clips of his meltdown in regards to Unnamed.
Hello everyone. I uploaded a similar video to this, but DarkViperAu decided to take down my video, so I will be adding commentary for you the viewer and to stay in the grounds of fair use.
Eventually Unnamed performed the run on a live stream to show that the run wasn't cheated, and even the moderators and speedrunners, such as English Ben, had come to the rescue, making their own investigation, which yielded a result of seeing no faults with the run, that it was indeed legitimate. Eventually DarkViper gave a shout out to Unnamed in a passively aggressive tone, and the two reconciled the drama. Moving past yet another drama, DarkViper decided to treat us once again to the insight of making a cheesy snack, which had been a re-upload as the original was taken down due to the safety risk the video could pose to the audience as DarkViper microwaves cheese slices with the plastic still attached.
It'd be done, but no, right? You take it to a microwave, right? Okay. Then you take these cheese slices, put it in the microwave. Depending upon the strength of your microwave, it will be like a different amount of time you need. But for this one, it's probably like 240 or something. And then you wait. And that now done, you have these nice little toasted cheese snacks. See? And then you just... Okay, my plate broke. That's actually cracked there. I don't know why that happened. I think that was just purely coincidental.
Maybe DarkViper should get into the food industry, just so long as he puts a label on the packaging, warning anyone who may buy it that it could contain plastic. However, soon DarkViper showed his audience another display of him being a hypocrite, with him streaming a walkthrough of a Dark Souls game, but when a viewer tells him how to beat a boss optimally, he loses his cool, talking about how there will always be that one person who will ruin his good time with backseat gaming advice, when he previously spoke on Unnamed not giving him advice when he did, and talking about that instance like it was to be a bad thing.
So, this entire fight victory is cheapened because that one asshole said that I should stay up on the platform. Now, I don't know if I stayed up on the platform because that guy said it. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. But now I feel like this fight's just been cheapened because of one fuckwit who couldn't stay quiet in chat. He was just trying to be nice? Yes, but if a person is trying to be nice and jams a blade into your eye thinking you'll enjoy it, it's still a dick thing to do. Any person who isn't willing to think about their own actions to the degree that they'll actually understand the likely impact that their actions are going to have, they shouldn't be around people, you know? This is a Souls game. You didn't have to listen to him. It is impossible for a person, once they retain information, to then just forget it. You can't read words and just not take in the information. There is not a single person who knows enough about Souls to give that information that doesn't also know that spoiling a Souls game is just the most dick thing you can do. Oh. I can't tell if this is bait. I watched a bunch of YouTube clips and this is the first live I've seen. He's being really rude. I know, like, there's this small sliver of viewers who just will never get it. Lacks empathy in any respects. And it's probably the same people who are spoiling Souls games. No one likes for things to be spoiled. Fucking no one. This isn't a feeling unique to me. It's literally everyone doesn't want things spoiled. It's a rude thing to do it. What about not reading chat? That's the problem. Like, you want to stream and you want to give people that interactivity, but there's this small sliver of people who are just fucking inconsiderate. You know? And it sucks. Why must there always be that small portion of people who ruin things for everyone? What if standing on the platform is common sense, which you lack, and thus you got mad at someone telling you something obvious? I mean, we can talk about hypotheticals that aren't true until the cows come home. All right. Can someone time out Reservoir Doggo for like 10 days, please? Guys, I know it's really tempting to want to give advice and be like, oh, you can do it this way, man. Just but it's a Souls game, right? It's the enjoyment of Souls is figuring out for yourself how to do the thing. Sometimes you want help, and so you ask for help, and that's totally cool. And sometimes I appreciate that. But unsolicited help in a Souls game is like, if you're a Souls fan and you're giving unsolicited help, you aren't really a Souls fan.
On the 8th of December, DarkViper had uploaded a rant talking about how all time not making content is wasted, where the video has since been privated, but the transcript still exists, with the following, which kinda sounds like an anime monologue. Time I'm not spent making content is wasted. I've reached a point with streaming where even mild things that eat up my time really fucking annoy me, because I'm like, if I wasn't doing this, I could be fucking editing that footage. I could be making that video. We streaming that other hour, man. Don't want to be fucking cleaning the house, man. I want to be fucking streaming, because all I want to do is stream. All I want to do is stream and make content. That's all I ever want to do. When I get tired, I'm like, fuck, I'm tired again, man. Can't bloody stream. Physical frailty. Oh no. It's almost like I'm hearing this from a child. I don't want to have these responsibilities. I want to play video games and chew bubblegum, but I'm all out of gum. Which is certainly troubling behavior coming from someone who is in their 30s, which I have to ask, does he even care about his own personal hygiene at this point? Or does he edit his videos while he's soaking in the tub? On the 25th of December, DarkViper had uploaded, "What do people Google about me?" Which is kind of weird, you would want to know that. Personally, I wouldn't want to know anything about that, but to each is their own. However, I'm afraid that is it for the first part of the deep dive, and can you believe we are only halfway up this mountain? As in the next part, we are introduced to that beloved document that caused even more drama to ensue, where like in this part, DarkViper will misrepresent the facts, make himself out to be the real victim, not the one who's in fault here, and will even be granted to some comparisons to Darkside Phil. So be on the lookout for the second part to this deep dive, as we've got so much more to talk about here. A special thank you goes out to the PSEC members of this channel: Hammond, Sithlord906, Killer1260V2, Art Gains, Stabber OP Sig, Bronze189, and Eros Solano. And to the legend members of this channel, Michael Boss and Afron2371. Thank you for the extra support you bring to the channel. It really helps me out and I really appreciate you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon. And be sure to leave having a good one.